coming to you live from wherever. It's the Ticket Booth Podcast.
Hello, everyone! Welcome to today's edition of the Ticket Booth Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Bevington, aka that one dude who's blocked by Channel Awesome.
Nice! Okay, I'm George Arrett from youtube.com/George Arrett, and I think this is the first time in the history of the Ticket Booth Podcast where I've seen every film we're going to talk about.
What?
I know!
What?
Crazy!
Oh my god!
Oh, Kevin alive. I'm Jeff, Movie Man, and I'm happy to be here again.
I'm Mark, or Krimes, and see, Brian didn't give me the whole script. What an asshole. I've done so much for that guy.
What are you talking about? We never...
Oh my god.
Was that the
Brian,
script?
what an asshole.
That was scripted, yes, of course.
Jeff, did you get that reference?
What?
Did you didn't get it was Dead Don't Die.
It's almost like...
I get it.
Do you remember that movie?
I remember,
You remember that?
movie. It just took me a little bit of time.
Okay, no, that's fine. You're fine, Jeff. You're fine. Anyway,
he's suffering from mild dementia. So, since by now, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood has came around, speaking of brain-dead, mindless zombies who will do anything, let's talk about The Dead Don't Die.
Oh,
Dharma.
Mark,
Jim Jarmusch.
Mark, you need to be invited to all those Comedy Central roasts because you'd win every time.
Exactly.
Almost definitely.
The Comedy Central roast of Quentin Tarantino featuring Mark Ramirez.
Uh,
And then Quentin's like, I don't even know who this guy is.
I don't know who he is. He's irrelevant to me.
Who wants to go first with their thoughts on this film? Because we have a lot to say. At least me and Mark do.
Okay, alright. Well, I'm a little split on The Dead Don't Die. Part of this movie is really, really stupid. And, I would say the ending is definitely part of that. I thought the ending was just so, like...
The ending was amazing.
The ending's
I mean-
amazing. What do you mean?
It was kind of stupid.
It's
And-
yeah, it is, but that's
the
what makes
point.
That's what made it so amazing. This entire movie's stupid, but that's what I loved about it.
yeah, I you could say that, but I don't know. I thought it wasn't developed enough. But there are other parts of this movie where I can really appreciate what Jim Jarmusch is going for with his commentary on the horror genre and a bunch of zombie-based media like The Walking Dead.
And every other kind of media too.
Mm-hmm.
There's like so many messages like being juggled around at once.
Yeah, that's part of the reason I kind of wasn't really a fan of it, is because it's about a lot of different things and Jarmusch didn't really properly handle it. The analogy I would use is he's jumping into a pool he's never been into before. He doesn't know the parameters, and he went in way too far, and he just didn't know what he was doing. So I think that's really part of it, because he's never really done much of a horror movie before.
I mean, Only Lovers Left Alive is like horror-ish.
Well, yeah, but this is kind of a full-blown horror movie, and it is in Jarmusch. It is in Jarmusch's style, though. I could sit here and say, "Oh, Jarmusch has lost his talent," well, which isn't true, because Patterson was really good. So I can't really. That would just not be accurate.
I mean, even then, even if people don't like this movie, I wouldn't say it should really be said that he's lost his talent. Because, this entire movie and everything going on, this is mainly just an experiment for him.
This is more or less just him experimenting. But
so, if it doesn't work, he'll just move on.
It's basically the most elaborate shitpost ever made.
Like Sign tells me
Exactly.
Sign tells me his next movie is going to be along the lines of, like, Patterson, Broken Flowers.
Yeah, I'm hoping. But my whole point is it's very cluttered to the point where it's not very clear where he's going. Part of me wants to believe that he himself didn't even know what he wanted to do with it, but I don't really know much about that. I mean, there's lots of moments in this film, again, that are great, and some that really made me roll my eyes. Like, okay, dude, what are you even doing? I wouldn't call it pretentious or self-indulgent because that doesn't really fit this movie very much at all. There's lots of other aspects of the movie that I appreciated. I like the characters for the most part. I like the acting. I like the overall premise of the movie. I didn't think the cinematography was that impressive. The editing was flat. I mean, the filmmaking is just kind of flat, which is really shocking to see from Jarmusch because he's made some films with some excellent production value, like Dead Man and also Patterson and Down by Law.
In fact, one thing I love about Jarmusch is that he's made films that are like kind of different genres, but like he's never really gone really out of his own style. Like I've seen like more Jarmusch films than you seem to have, George, and like and like kind of it's like, you know, he can make a film that he can make like kind of like a gothic, kind of like somewhat horror with Only Lovers Left Alive, or a little bit more of an action-y movie with Ghost Dog, but the way they're executed still mainly his style, but he definitely dips into some more other kind of genres, but still mixes it in with his own.
Yeah.
In a way that works.
I really appreciate the fact that Jarmusch is going out of his way to try something that he's never really had much experience in. Sure, it might not be a full-blown horror movie, but it's the most horror movie that he's made, I guess you could say. I'm really just split on the whole film itself. There's parts I really enjoyed, parts I really hated. I think overall it's like a 2.5 out of 5 or 5 out of 10, I guess. Maybe if I were to rewatch it, I could get more out of it, but the thing is, I really don't feel like watching it ever again, honestly. I've already forgotten much of the movie, and I've only seen it 4 days ago. So, yeah.
This is my first Jim Jarmusch film I've seen, so I'm not very familiar with his style or sensibilities, really. So I'd have to watch his other stuff to really get more of a sense of it. But I'd heard that the film got a mixed reception at Cannes, though given how they are with movies, that's not really that surprising. I wasn't sure what to make of it, and it's a weird movie. I felt like all the real high energy moments of it were all in the trailer, like all of them, and the whole movie didn't know what to expect. And well, it's a really slow burn of a movie. The whole movie is like the equivalent of going, wait, zombies? Huh.
Yeah.
That's the whole movie.
They're not zombies, they're
ghouls.
That line delivery. The whole movie felt like one long shrug.
Exactly.
So casual and slow and nonchalant about everything that was going on, no matter how heightened it was. I didn't not like it. It's odd.
That's basically how I feel about it, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I was really hyped for this movie because I've delved into more of Jim Jarmusch's films as of recently, and he's become one of my favorites. I absolutely love the guy. I love his style. I love pretty much every movie I've seen from him. Well, except for maybe this one, but in a way I kind of love it. I'll get to that in a second. So, I mean, I was excited. Well, when the trailer first dropped, I didn't really know what to think because I was mostly just jarred that Jarmusch was basically just kind of like stepping in a completely different direction. When I heard that he was making a movie, I didn't expect it to be like this, and I just seeing him make like a zombie dark comedy, I was like, oh, okay. What's this?
A zombie fuck you movie.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is, really. And then I kept watching the trailer and I got more hyped, and then I saw it a couple weeks late. And then I have mixed feelings, but I also say that I really enjoyed it. My feelings are weird because I kind of adore it for a lot of things that it does, because Mark is right. This literally is a fuck you movie in the absolute best way. Like a lot of people describe fuck you movies as like atrocious movies that kind of just be a middle finger to the audience. This movie does it in a way that's kind of brilliant. It literally throws everything at the wall in order to just kind of like troll the audience.
The final like 30 minutes or so.
The last 10 minutes are the best example of that, where it literally throws everything at the wall. The fourth wall gets broken, and
it doesn't give a shit what the audience thinks.
And it turns
exactly.
Wait, oh shit! By the way, also this is a spoiler review.
All of it is going to be spoilers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All these movies are spoiling, and it turns out Tilda Swinton's character's an alien.
Fucking alien. It makes so much sense.
What was that about?
Perfect.
I have no idea,
casting.
but I'm glad. Oh my god!
Perfect casting. She looks exactly like one.
I still don't even know what that meant, but I love it. It just really comes out of nowhere. This randomly picked character just gets swooped up from an alien ship.
The lady just gets swooped up.
And I got there were aliens spoiled for me because some dickhead talked about it on Twitter. But then even then when they popped up, like I just there's an alien. There's somehow aliens at some point.
That's
Then
a
when that happened, I was like,
fucking
wait, what the
alien.
fuck?
Wait, guys, is the sequel to this movie going to be the cop character Adam Driver and Bill Murray raiding Area 51 to fight Tilda Swinton?
Oh, for fuck.
Yes.
Yes, I would
No,
love
they're
to see
going
it.
they're going to free Tilda Swinton.
Yeah,
The zombies are going to be their meat shields, okay?
yeah.
No, you know what I would have loved, honestly? There was this show, it was this anime show that came out a long time ago. It's called, like, Space Dandy. And basically, one of the little jokes in it was, like, it's like a 20-minute episode, and the 10 minutes is set up like a zombie fucking horror movie. And then the main characters all, like, get eaten. And then the rest of the episode is, like, they didn't die. They're just all zombies now, and they're living their day-to-day lives as zombies. And the whole universe is just zombies. I would have loved to seen that. Just Adam Driver and Bill Murray, like,
Oh my god. Honestly, I'd love that.
Mm.
Jim Jarmusch, I doubt you're a fan of sequels, but can you please make a Dead Don't Die sequel and do that? Please.
They're all zombies.
I'd love
It
that.
would be Patterson, but with zombies.
If you can't afford to make a sequel to it, then just put it on Netflix. I'll watch it.
Yeah, somebody will watch it.
No, I'll watch it. Me and Mark and George will probably watch it. All of the performances were wonderful, pretty much. Essentially.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, well, Adam Driver being the standout because his line delivery makes the movie.
I have a bad feeling about this. This isn't going to end well.
So what do you mean by that, Ronnie?
It's just not going to end. I don't know. It's just, I don't think it's going to end well.
I also love how, like, there's, like, certain bits of dialogue released as, like, a soundtrack that you can find on YouTube. And I listen to some of them and, oh, my God. I want them as my ringtone. It's like my phone rings. And then you just hear Adam Driver going, ghouls. And also, well, of course, Bill Murray. Well, I mean, Bill Murray always has the best line delivery in any movie he's in.
The whole movie's funny. It's a really funny movie. But the issues, there's visual gags. There's a lot of everything. There's some really good just verbal comedy. But the issues come more within, like, the thematics, really, for me. And that's more like how it juggles its themes. And I think there's some interesting things that are being said, like, but it's just so much. It's like, we're anti-fracking, and then we're also global warming. Then we're also, the past generation coming back to eat alive the new generation. And then it's like so much like fucking absurd shit. And that's also why I kind of adore it, because it's like, it's a hot mess. It's a hot mess, but there's some semblance of, like, cleverness in there. Even the MAGA shit with Steve Buscemi. The best part of the whole fucking movie.
God,
that made me piss my pants laughing when I saw that. Just like, you see Steve Buscemi in a diner, and it just has a hat that says "Make America White Again."
It's the greatest thing.
And then he says he doesn't want his coffee black, and then fucking Danny Glover's sitting right next to him.
He's like, that coffee's too black for me. Danny Glover just gives him a look, and I was like, oh my god, they did that in a movie.
Oh my god!
Holy shit!
It's like the one thing. So like, this movie is getting slammed by some people. I know, like, some people think this is like an outright horrible movie, and I kind of understand that, because this movie really is just like a middle finger movie, but in the best way. Because this movie's dumb. It knows it's dumb, and it goes with it. It's weird to say that the worst parts of this movie is when it tries to be smart. That's like the weirdest thing you can say about movies. That the best parts are when it just knows that it's dumb. And like, here's the thing: if they want to tell like a genuine message with this, okay, go right ahead for it. It's just like, the way that it's told in some aspects are insanely heavy-handed, and with the way this movie's presented as just like a batshit insane, weird, out there, fuck you movie, that, like, in some of the ways they try to tell the messages just feel odd. Obviously, if you notice in the movie, like, all the performances are kind of like acted like really weirdly, like with Chloe Sevigny just acting insanely over the top.
It's all either deadpan or it's all very heightened.
Like, Chloe Sevigny spends the whole movie crying. It's pretty much.
Please tell me this is a bad dream. We're all gonna wake up and everything's gonna be okay. And then Bill Murray says that, and then Adam Driver's like, "No, it's not." And then she just starts crying.
Oh my god, this movie's fucking hilarious. I love it. I cannot stand when some satire is just like right at, like, insanely obvious. Like, okay, well, not all the time, because sometimes you can do it well if it's creative, but sometimes in the Dead Don't Die, there's just straight up scenes where they're just like flat out explaining shit to the camera or something like that. Like, the first 15 minutes is just essentially just characters going, "Whoa, what's this weird thing happening?"
What is this? Oh, global warming? Not enough studies.
What is this global warming shit going on?
I fucking love how. Okay, this is my theory here. Okay, the movie is like, okay, It's self-aware humor done right, honestly. I read a review once, or before I even saw the movie, and it was like comparing it to Deadpool, and I was like, no, it's really not. And like the thing is, you could say, oh yeah, but they're both self-referential, like they know what they are, and blah blah blah. But the thing is, Deadpool is a fucking uninspired, mediocre film, not even mediocre, shit film that fucking takes cliches, and it's just like, we're gonna make fun of cliches, but we're not gonna subvert it in any way. Dead Don't Die, like, it will like have cliches, but it will subvert the fuck out of it and just go places where you don't expect.
I don't agree.
You don't agree? Guess what? You're wrong. Aha!
And also, with the whole time that fucking song kept popping up, like
Sturgill Simpson.
Yeah, using the exact same context as Everything Is Awesome in the Lego Movie. It's like every time it came back on, I kept laughing because of how the characters were talking about. It's like, whoa, Sturgill Simpson, great song.
Great song.
like the first clip I saw from the movie was that clip of Caleb Landry Jones talking like that, and I didn't know that was like everything that happened. It's like all the times it happened in the movie, talking like satirizing the brainwashing that happens with like pop music, stuff like that. It was just so fucking funny, especially that one scene where it happened and like Bill Murray just fucking like throws the disc out the window and Ronnie's just in the car going like, oh, it's a great song. Well, there's fucking zombies attacking the car.
That's a great song.
Oh my god!
Pounding on the fucking window. Let's be honest here. The best part was the anti-capitalist system, like the anti-capitalist message, which is like everybody who's caught in the corporate cycle dies, except the fucking guy in the woods who eats his own shit
and just like eats the farmer's chickens.
He eats the farmer's chickens. He's like, look at no. The best part about the whole movie is the zombies going. Wi-Fi.
Oh, that one scene where like all the fucking zombies just had cell phones in their hands.
Don't you get it? It's like metaphor. It's like about the fucking god.
This is a movie
so
that
funny.
And stuff like that in the movie kind of work because they're so bad. Like in any other movie, I'd probably just be like, oh my god, are you fucking kidding me? That is the most fucking white Facebook mom way you could have handled that metaphor. But in this movie, in the context of this movie, that only adds to it because it's like this movie knows that it's just batshit and it's just literally doing everything it can to just be insane and weird to the point where something like that makes sense.
Wi-Fi, Chardonnay, George, what? Where's my Wi-Fi? What's the password?
And also, in terms of like objective problems I have with this movie, that subplot with the kids at the juvenile detention center,
Yeah.
I hate to agree with
That is.
what was even the point of that?
That was
Like
the worst part of the movie.
What the fuck was even the point of that? Like they kept cutting to it, but there's like I hate
Nothing
to bring Chris
happened.
up here, but literally it goes nowhere. Like the last thing you see are just like the kids running out of the center, and then that's it. They're gone.
They have nothing to do with the plot, nothing to do with any other characters.
It feels like the only reason why they're there is just to have more characters go, what is this polar fracking thing?
Out of all of the things this movie had, I was very disappointed that it didn't have Steve Buscemi as a zombie saying "Naga."
No. You know what I'm disappointed about? I'm disappointed that Bill Murray didn't turn into a zombie, and Adam Driver didn't say, "Have any regrets?" And he said, "Garfield, maybe."
that would have been a good one.
It's like it's Aquaman levels of insane, but
God.
good.
You know what? Aquaman's good. I don't know what you're talking about.
Nah, fam.
Aquaman is epic.
I'll argue with you on that.
Aquaman's so epic, dog. What you mean? No, but The Dead Don't Die. It's clever, except when it's not, and it's shitty, but it's like hilarious. It's almost like like a B movie. It reminded me of Space Cop. Have any of y'all seen that?
No, I have not.
It's like it's intentionally shit, but there are some genuinely clever and interesting aspects of the film. But you know what? It's still a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. I think all the actors have a lot of fun with what they have, even if it doesn't really show, because I know it's like a lot of deadpan. But you can definitely tell like they were enjoying themselves on set. Bill Murray, like, okay, compare this Bill Murray performance where like you could be like, oh, it's soulless, it's dead. Compare it to an actual movie where he's soulless and fucking dead.
Garfield.
Like Garfield. Compare his performance in The Dead Don't Die to Garfield. And you could kind of pick up that, yeah, he's actually hamming it up for this. He's going as dead as that character.
But here it's intentional. Like here he actually has to act like deadpan in order to really fit what this movie's going for. And like
it's
like
like
I said,
a parody. It's a good parody movie. Well, it's one of the only good parody movies that have come out in like the past decade.
Well, that's
There's
not
a really
saying
big
much.
good
Pop,
ones.
Pop, Freeberg, and Seltzer.
Fucking Friedberg and Seltzer. You know what? You ever just confuse Friedberg and Seltzer for the people who made the red shoes? Because I
Do
know
you
they're
actually?
no, they're like a director duo for the red shoes and shit like that. And Dylan fucked me over. He made a joke one time, and he was just like, "Yeah, Friedberg and Seltzer made the red shoes, and I didn't catch up on it until it was too late." And I was like, "Motherfucker."
Did you actually believe it?
I did, because he's
Why?
like
Oh my God.
he's my
Why?
he's my film
Mark.
fact checker.
How would they
He
actually
knows
be alive in that
everything.
time?
I didn't know. I forgot that they were actual directors. Well, they're not
Damn.
actual directors. They're just pieces of shit. But you know,
Hashtag Krimes is over party.
oh my god,
We have to
memes.
continue the motif of canceling Mark.
Cancel me, please. Again,
Like I said, this movie is weird. Is also weird in that like it basically kind of twists my film criticisms in ways. Like it makes me say stuff like this movie's good except for when it tries to be smart or stuff like
Yeah.
that, or I don't know, anything like that. Like it makes me weird. It like makes me say like weird shit in order to like, describe what the fuck the movie's even doing. I don't know, but like, and I think this movie really kind of shows what Jim Jarmusch can do, because like it shows the power he has as a director, because he can make amazing films, and he can also make films that just kind of like do whatever they want, and he can just like just basically flip off the audience. And what I thought,
Schlockfest.
and what I thought before I saw this movie was kind of like this movie really is just like a shit post movie, because like I can imagine this type of movie that like normie horror movie audiences will walk to thinking like it's a normal zombie movie, and then they see what happens in the last 5 minutes, and then they'll just be like, wait, what the fuck?
Is that how it ends? Bill Murray and Adam Driver get eaten alive, and then just it's like a reaction video. That's how it ends. It's just it's the woodsman just like, I guess that happened.
And then they'll walk out. Then they'll walk out of the movie like, that's the worst movie I've ever seen in my whole entire life.
Then you haven't seen much movies, kiddo.
Like my audience, like they were laughing throughout it, like, and even like weird parts that they were laughing. Well, not even like weird parts of the movie, but like any like some kind of like random parts. They just like randomly laughed. But I think I could have heard like a couple as soon as the movie ended, be like, well, that was awful.
Well, that was awful.
Oh, Brian, you know how you said that you thought my dad was gonna hate Dead Don't Die? He actually liked it.
Oh, damn.
Really? He's a Kino master.
The feeling when your dad likes a movie more than his film buff son.
You know what? Show your father Mandy. See what he says.
No. Wait, show your dad Climax.
Oh my god!
I was about to say I'm gonna show him Climax.
You're gonna show him Climax. You're gonna give your dad epilepsy.
No, wait. What is like the most weird
He's
and like messed up and artsy fucking movie you could have shown him?
Solo.
Yeah, show him Salo. Show
him Salo.
No, wait. I got a great idea. Show him a Serbian film.
Jesus Christ.
Wow, now I never want to have kids again. Also, all the performances were pretty Kino. Besides Adam Driver, Bill Murray, Tilda Swinton, and Chloe Sevigny were probably also highlights. Steve Buscemi was really funny. Danny Glover was good. Caleb Blanchard Jones was good. Selena Gomez was, cast well.
So.
Imagine her straying away from Disney Channel, and now she's doing Spring Breakers and Dead Don't Die.
You know what? She has had an interesting career.
Oh, to say the least.
Let's not forget, she's also a producer
don't.
Reasons Why.
Did you have
you
to
motherfucker.
Did you have to?
Yes.
Did you? No, you didn't.
The worst show on television.
It's the worst show ever made.
Yeah, I agree.
I firmly
not
believe
even seen
that.
it. I don't need to watch it. I know it's awful.
Made. It's the worst thing ever made. I'd honestly rather watch the Psycho remake.
Hey guys,
Why?
do you want to know what kind of bullshit it is that Netflix isn't renewing Tuca and Birdie for a second season, yet they're already renewing 13 Reasons Why for more seasons before the new season's already out? Ain't that some bullshit? Okay. Moving on. Dead Don't Die, amazing movie. Okay, it's a lot of fun. It's hilarious in ways that I don't think I've seen from any other movie ever. Like, it's so bad it's good, but in a way that you can't even expect. Like, when you watch a movie like The Room or Birdemic or any kind of other, like, so bad it's good movie, you expect them to be so bad it's good, but in this movie you're probably expecting, like, an actual art house movie, and then you get, like, pretty much on the levels of, like, The Room, but in a way that's intentional, but in a way that works. Like, a lot of so bad it's good movies, when they try to be intentionally so bad it's good, but they aren't. But Jim Jarmusch is that much of a genius that he pretty much trolled the world in a way that is kind of amazing. So thank you, Jim.
Jim did a good job. Congrats, Jim.
Even though he's an asshole.
Jim is an asshole. That's still the funniest thing.
Oh my god, it is
quite literally the funniest thing.
Also, all the fourth wall breaking jokes Chris Suckman brought this up in his review, but I kind of agree with him in a way that I kind of want to imagine this movie. Think of it as Bill Murray and Adam Driver just playing themselves. Like they're just Bill Murray and Adam Driver are just randomly on a set one day, and then all of a sudden, what? Zombies?
Yeah.
Oh, it was supposed to be like a Three Billboards type movie, and then fucking zombies come in, and then aliens come in, and they're like, what the fuck?
It's like one of those weird SNL skits of like a celebrity, and then just like, oh, what? Zombies?
Zombies? What? Isn't this crazy?
This is insane, man. I'm on ayahuasca right now.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Jim, please make a sequel about Bill Murray and Adam Driver living as zombies, living their day-to-day lives.
While they are raiding Area 51.
While they're raiding Area 51.
To get Tilda Swinton back.
And, oh my god.
And while they
Naruto run into the Area 51.
Also, one thing about Dead Don't Die I also love was the score.
Oh, the score from The Dead Don't Die is great.
I don't remember a score at all.
Me either.
There's a lot of sequences that complemented by the score, and they just allow it to just work for the movie. Like the one sequence with Tilda Swinton is like the one sequence that I think of when like with the score being brought up. When I saw that scene where she was like decorating the bodies in the trailer, I didn't even know what that was for at first, and then when I saw the movie, it was then it was fucking hilarious. Where it's just she's just painting dead bodies.
Yeah, it's so
just
good.
Wake up. Then they just wake up. That joke doesn't make sense without context, which is why I was weirded out by it in the trailer. Like I thought she was just like a makeup designer or something like that. I didn't know she was like a funeral home person.
Are y'all in this together?
Oh my!
Oh my! A Scottish samurai alien.
Oh my god! Her voice kind of sounds like Muriel from Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Too much macaroni. I don't even like macaroni. I love that. I love Courage.
Also, like, just a lot of the humor in Dead Don't Die where they just straight up explain stuff to the audience. When it works, it's fucking hilarious because, like, it's just so weird. Yeah, like some things where they blatantly state the message. Some of those scenes are amazing. I don't know. It's a movie that's objectively not good, but it's also, in terms of enjoyment, can be fucking amazing. But, like, I can understand why some people hate it, but I can also understand why people love it. I can't say it's objectively amazing, except it is at the same time. It's objectively, like, a 10 out of 10 masterpiece.
Yeah, pretty much.
Other than that, I mean,
okay. Subjectively, it's a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. Objectively, it's like around a 5 or a 6.
I gave it a 6 with a heart.
Yeah, I think it's a solid 6.
Yeah, oh yeah. Like I'd say I'd say in terms of like mix of objective and enjoyment, I'd say it's like a 6 out of 10 with a heart.
It's one of the most enjoyable films of the year.
Oh my god, me and Mark agree on something. What?
Yeah, it's fun.
Wow. Which is the polar opposite of the other 3 movies that we're going to talk about.
Oh, the other 3 movies are either ass or just ass.
Okay, so so now we're done. Wait, okay. Do you guys want to get our ratings out of the way for Dead Don't Die?
I give it a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. So we're all around the same area, but I guess some of us are just a bit more negative towards it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all right.
It's funny how the pretentious one out of us 4 end up being the most nice to it. Mark, yeah, you out of all of us, you were the nicest to it.
I know,
that's something. That's something.
Definitely not.
Actually, George, you're probably the most pretentious. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. Debatable.
That's debatable. Okay.
Anyway, next. Speaking of pretentious,
next meme.
Midsommar. JK, I know it's Midsommar, but I don't even know how to pronounce this.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Are we talking about the 2019 one, or are we talking about the shitty 2002 version that's also called Midsommar?
Oh, it came with The Year I Was Born?
Guess what?
Just
There's no difference. They're both shit.
Yes. Okay, I mean, I hate to just put one from the other, but here, I want to see Mark go first, because I want you to drill into this movie as hard as you can, because, oh my god, I'm going to laugh so hard. Yes.
You want me to start?
Go.
Okay. Midsommar. Hold up, I'm playing Hollow Knight right now. Sorry. Midsommar. I have to pause this shit because I'm about to fight the Mantis Lords. Midsommar is like, oh my god, where do I start? Basically, for some context, I don't like Ari Aster. I think he's a fine, competent director, but he has this horrible, horrible bug where he just doesn't know what the fuck to do with his thematics and his themes, and he doesn't explore them in any real interesting ways. Hereditary did some of that, but it didn't do enough of it to really make up for the fact that its fucking second and third act completely fall into generic Blumhouse horror movie bullshit. Midsommar is really fucking boring. And I mean that in such a weird way because it's 2 hours and 30 minutes and you feel all of those fucking minutes. And I don't feel like it does enough to really be intriguing for all of that runtime. First, I'm getting on to really like technical aspects right now. It's so much of the film is just like, we're waiting. What are we waiting for? Oh,
yeah, the movie kind of does
something
meander
spooky.
quite a bit. I'll definitely agree with that.
It's super tedious, and it feels like very unnecessary. Like there's some scenes that just happen, and they don't really add to the plot. All they do is just they're supposed to be there to like, oh, give the tone, but they don't really set it effectively. Or sometimes they'll set it effectively, like the cliff jumping scene is like, that's all right. That's a fun little scene, but the thing is, I feel like I should feel more than just like, I should actually feel grotesque from seeing two elderly people get their fucking heads smashed in and not just like, oh, okay. Like, so much of the film is just a big shrug for me. Like how you were saying The Dead Don't Die that was Midsommar, except the fact that Midsommar is just another pseudo-intellectual art house fucking horror film by Ari Aster who wants to believe. Pseudo-intellectual art house film
Mark,
that's done in a horror.
With all due respect, I think you're just wrong.
You think I'm just wrong with that? It's not smart.
I don't know
it's
how
like,
you.
It's
I don't know
actual bullshit.
I have no idea how it's pseudo-intellectual. It's not trying to be super intelligent in the first place.
It
So,
is.
like-
That's the worst part about it. Again, it's like Hereditary, where it wants to have its cake and eat it too. It's like, yes, we're gonna be like
It has
this
intelligent
schlocky.
characters,
It's gonna be like this schlocky slasher film.
It's not
but
trying
then-
to be super like profound or anything like that. If that's what you're getting at.
I'm not talking about the characters. I'm talking more about its presentation and how it carries itself as a film. I'm talking about how it wants to be like, like Stalker-esque and like something that can be compared to like The Shining. But it's literally
I see
fucking...
no comparisons between this and Stalker whatsoever.
I'm talking about the kind of like meandering, slow, tense, atmospheric buildup.
It wasn't really meandering to me, though.
That's the thing, is that with Midsommar, I mean, fucking Stalker's not meandering. Meandering is like the exact opposite. Stalker is long, but it feels big dick energy. It has so much of that shit. It's like, ooh, you want to watch more of it because it just perfectly has this world
those
built.
are my thoughts on Stalker too. But I mean, Midsommar is what I think of. It's kind of the same way. I don't see how it's meandering.
No, Midsommar is just for me. Midsommar feels more like, okay, so there's this cult, right? And then the film had nowhere to really go with that. I saw this interview, actually, where Ari Aster was like, yeah, I was more interested in exploring the idea of a broken relationship. And he was like, the cult was super uninteresting to me. And I was like, why the fuck did you just not make a, like, romantic drama about two people who, like, are out of love? Why did you feel you needed to make this a cult movie? And I really didn't get it. Like, I feel like that's wrong. Because I got the film. I understood the film completely. The thing is, none of it really worked for me in any way, shape, or form. He wanted to explore like the themes and ideas of this couple like falling apart, and he did it. He did it fine. He didn't do it in any interesting way or any engaging way, really. The same thing he did with the whole like fucking subplot or the setup. The main character, her character is interesting not because she's an interesting person, but because of the stuff she's going through. She's very much a blank slate throughout most of the film, and her performance is only just super one note, and that bothered me like actually a lot for some reason, because I found it to me it felt very one note. It was all very either, oh my god, is this really happening, or oh my god, that's crazy. It almost reminded me of like an SNL kind of performance in a way. Like there was some good acting, but most of it just kind of fell to the wayside. And
the sad part is I can kind of see where you're coming from.
You can see where I'm coming from, because so much of it is just like the same shit. And I feel so weird saying that because I enjoyed Mother. Like Mother, I love Mother. And Jennifer Lawrence is very one note throughout that movie. But the thing is, with Jennifer Lawrence, she plays it with some type of, I don't know, pizzazz that just differs it from just oh my god, that's crazy. Isn't that crazy, guys? Like, look at that. They just crushed their skull. To me, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how, A, Midsommar is considered, like, good. And second off, how anybody could have a real emotional connection to the film because it just refuses to give any of that to it. The thing is, while people complain, I even complained about it first, and then I kind of thought about it more, and I'm like, oh, well, I guess it didn't completely forget the whole her parents died. Her parents and her sister murder-suicide, that happened. And, like, the first part of the film, first scene, that's a good scene. Good scene by itself, and then it has little to any connection to the rest of the film. I said it had no connection to the rest of the film when I first saw it. It has some connection, barely any. And it just fails to really capture anything else other than that. There's the sense of dread, sure, but that's not enough. I needed something from our main character to really be like, okay, she's grieving. But then there's also the whole point where it's like, the point of the movie is that it's supposed to let go of your fears and, like, accept reality and do your own thing outside of your own personal tragedy. I'm like, I guess? But again, it's a film, it's like Us. It reminded me a lot of Us, where it's like, it wants to be super fucking literal, but it also wants to be this metaphorical piece of cake, and it wants to be like, oh, well, this means this means that, and then it just clashes completely against the film itself to where, okay, so I'm not supposed to take this literal, but everything prior to this has made me want to take this literally. What the fuck? What are you aiming to get at? Is what one of my biggest issues about it. It just really infuriated me. Again, it's Ari Aster's thing where he just, like, he wants to go into more abstract metaphorical territories. That's fine, but he completely wants to derail anything that he's set up, and he wants to forget about it completely and just act like, yeah, that didn't happen. It's there in the background. They'll remember it and they'll try and connect it, I guess, but there's no real connection in the film anymore towards what happened. And it just infuriated the fuck out of me. Again, it's like this schlocky, it's genuinely like a B movie. It's a B movie slasher cult film. But again, I say pseudo-intellectual by the way it's fucking shown, because there's good production. There are great qualities to, like, the technical aspects of the film. It's just what it's built around is just so painfully dull and so just it wants to have excuses for why it's away, but then the excuses feel like half-baked and just like he's pulling at straws, and he's like, okay, this is gonna make sense, I think, and it just doesn't. It just falls apart completely, especially in, like, the last 15 minutes. Plus, the whole movie, it's like the horror aspects or the things that people talk about that were scary in the film, like or the unnerving aspects or whatever, however you want to consider it. The whole fucking ass cheek pushing with the whole orgy of old women is fucking hilarious. All of the horror aspects are so comical. It's incredible. The incest babies. I've never laughed out loud more than I have in that fucking sequence where you just see the deformed child's face and it's just, like, all puffed up. And in the trailer, you're like, oh, that's interesting. That's kind of weird. But in the fucking movie, it's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. That's hilarious. So much of the movie, the only redeeming quality about the movie, the reason I would give it a 1.5 star, basically that's my rating, a 3 out of 10. I would only give it that because I laughed my ass off occasionally. And it didn't even entertain me. It didn't catch me. There wasn't something where I was like, okay, I actually care where this is going. It was just dull, boring bullshit. I could have looked at paint dry and I would have been more entertained, honestly. It's just infuriating to me. Again, good aspects, some decent acting. Aside from the main performance, just one note as hell and very unimpressing and underwhelming. The film itself is just, I find myself picking apart more at the direction and attempts more than the film. It's like just the technical qualities. Plus, again, I already said the runtime. It's too fucking long. It's too fucking long. It's like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's too fucking long. You don't know you don't know when to cut. All right, that's it.
I mean, I kind of want to go next because I've been juggling a lot in my head.
Go ahead.
So, my thoughts on Midsommar. Okay, so Ari Aster, I loved Hereditary. I'm sorry, Mark, but I fucking love Hereditary. It's got problems. I'll admit that.
Movie.
I do have flaws with it. I think
Alex
some of the writing's a bit off, and I think Alex Wolff is genuinely awful. But other than that, I think it's such a well-crafted, well-told horror drama, and in a perfect way. So I was hyped to see what Ari Aster had next, and I really enjoyed Midsommar. Definitely a lot more than Mark, but I also kind of have insanely mixed feelings on it. And a lot of my problems are kind of the same as Mark in ways.
Also,
Okay.
one thing I just wanted to add is that it feels like a director fatigue in a way, because there's so many like recycled elements from Hereditary. It's not even funny. It's like, oh, cult, yeah, cult, throw in a cult, yeah, because why not? Cult, bodies, but fucking ragdolls, yeah. It feels so like regurgitated. It feels recycled almost.
I don't know.
From
I can't
like
say
scrapped Hereditary ideas. That's just me though.
I can't say they didn't feel out of place or whatever, but I don't know. One of my biggest problems, the runtime. Like, here's the thing: when a movie's long, I can usually be captivated in it depending on how good, like how into it I am. Like, some of my favorite movies are long. Like, The Thin Red Line is fucking long, but I love it to death. But the thing is, Midsommar didn't need to be long. It's 2.5 hours, and it could have been like. I think even 2 hours would be a bit of a stretch. This movie could have been like an hour and 45 minutes, and would have probably worked as well. Like, there are so many sequences that just drag, and so many sequences that could have probably been cut. Like, it feels like Ari Aster just built. Here's the thing: the reason why it's so long is because most of them, like half the movie's build up, like nothing really like scary happens until like an hour in, which I have no problem with. But that being said, I would have no problem with build-up, except for the fact that what happens in the end is not really that satisfying. Like Hereditary, all the stuff that happened with the second half was insanely satisfying. You got what you paid for. But with Midsommar, well, for one thing, maybe I probably was expecting too much because I was expecting it to be like it was a hard R, but I meant like insanely hard R. Like, this movie almost got like an NC-17. And
I'm surprised it didn't.
I mean, there was some really, really, really brutal gore. Like the whole cliff jumping, like the cliff jumping.
Graphic nudity.
That's graphic. And
yeah, some guy runs out with his cock out.
Jack Rayner's
fucking dick. I mean, he's a dick in the fucking movie. He's a bitch.
Maybe that's a metaphor.
He's a little bitch with a little dick.
Oh my god! Imagine if it's a metaphor. Like, he shows his dick because he is a dick.
Oh my god, I wouldn't put it past Aster, honestly. Such a fucking ass idea. Only from the ass master himself could that idea come.
That'd be so funny. Like, okay, all of my favorite things about this movie were stuff that was mainly in terms of because I love the cinematography, I love the directing. Even though I do see where Mark was coming from, I was really into what the movie presented about like relationships, because the whole movie is mainly about like Danny wanting to take her mind off of her parents dying by going to this festival, which is why I feel like people saying like, oh, they just forget about the whole parents dying thing in the second half, which I honestly think was intentional, because I mean the whole point is that like she's going off this she's going off to the festival to like forget and take her mind off of it, and now she has a new life away from her depressing life. Like, she never wants to go back, because if she goes back to her normal life, she'll just be reminded of all the shit that happened back there. So now she has a new life as this queen in this cult, and which I mean, I like that aspect. There's a lot of things about that I think worked, but
could have been done better. The imitation scene is hilarious, though.
Yeah, and the real thing is there's so much I love about it, and so much I really enjoyed this movie overall. There's a ton of stuff I loved about it, but at the same time, I would call it pretentious. I would, because
very pretentious.
This is a movie. This is kind of like Hereditary is not pretentious. Hereditary, in my opinion, is not pretentious at all. But
it's super easy to understand. Hereditary is basic as hell, but it has this gloss that makes it elevated in a way.
Yeah.
The production, the direction, that's more
I absolutely adore Ari Aster's directing. Like, the way he directs and all his creative little shots. I love all of those, especially the ones that were done Hereditary. Everything I loved about this movie was still done better than Hereditary. But there's also a lot of creative stuff I think worked about this movie, and stuff that I did love about it. It's a solid sophomore film, but at the same time, I think Ari Aster got a little bit too full of himself, because it kind of felt like he wanted to try and do what people loved about Hereditary, but both remembered and forgot what really made Hereditary work.
He said, okay, sequelitis is okay, We're gonna do bigger and better.
Yeah, but like he kind of like, oh, let me just drag out sequences to make people think that it'll lead to some kind of huge buildup, which it really didn't. I mean, it led to something, but it didn't. Like, maybe if I watched it again without all the hype, maybe I'd probably enjoy it a little bit more. But as it stands, I don't think the third act was satisfying. I mean,
At all.
I mean, where it went, I wouldn't say is like really a bad option, but I wish it really had some kind of like oomph. That really, like, Hereditary has like a fucked up last 20 minutes, and like that is like, oh shit, so this is where it's going. I wish it had like an ending like that, but it didn't. It just kind of had more so just kind of like, oh, so that happened.
It's a shrug of my shoulders. I was like okay, I guess.
I liked what happened at the end, but it was more so just kind of like, oh, so that happened. Okay.
I guess.
What were you trying to do, Ari? I mean, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. Just like, I really think that there's a lot of stuff about this movie that I just think could have been done so much better. Like, this movie could have been like the next Hereditary if Ari Aster kind of like pulled his head out of his ass a little bit. Like, as much as I'm bringing up more so the negatives, there's a lot of stuff I really love about this movie. In fact, I really enjoyed this movie overall, like I kept saying, even though it doesn't seem like it. But there's just so much about it that kind of let me down. Like, I really think this movie could have been improved in a lot of ways, and it could have been so much better. It could have been like a masterpiece, probably. But I mean, it just kind of felt more so like Ari Aster just wanted to make Hereditary again, but didn't really know how to. And he also kind of seemed like he wanted to try and hype up something that didn't really pay off in the end.
I just kind of thought about this, but it feels like, okay, 2 hours, like 30 minutes, right? 2 hours, 40 minutes?
No, it's 2 hours, 20 minutes.
Okay, 2 hours, 20 minutes. It feels like 3 hours, though. Either way, imagine a mystery movie that long, but you already know the answer to the mystery. You already know what's going on. Like, there's no real mystery or build up to like the cult being this evil thing because you already know it's an evil thing. You already know it's like fucked up, so it feels more like you're just waiting for the fucked up shit to happen instead of like you're interested.
Like, this movie just feels a lot weaker than Hereditary. It just really kind of feels like it just doesn't go in a direction that I think really was developed well enough, probably. I just really think this movie could have been cut down a lot. I think there's some aspects I think probably could have been done better. I think, I don't know, it just feels, like I said, it just really kind of feels like Ari Aster wanted to make Hereditary again, but he ended up with a not as good version, but still really good. But he didn't really end up with what he probably could have gotten if he kind of decided, because like, fuck, I'm not explaining this well enough, but I don't know, it's just the third act didn't really give me really what I wanted, and I kind of felt the movie as a whole, as much as there was so much I loved about it, just like the outside is so great about the cinematography, the directing, everything, and all the stuff that I did love about it also there. But at the same time, there's also some other stuff in there that kind of just drives it down that I feel couldn't have been there if just with taking like at least 30 minutes off the runtime and like maybe developing the main character a little bit more, and also with just not meandering as much, because this movie spends a fuck ton of time trying to get where it's going, and I can understand that. I mean, like, if in fact build-up is kind of stuff this movie needs, and with the way that it builds up, yeah, I like where it was building up to, but when you're gonna have so much build-up, you should probably have a more satisfying conclusion, and this movie didn't really give me that.
Or a more satisfying mystery.
Oh yeah, that too.
Have it be something more than just, oh, they're a crazy cult.
And just like the build-up wasn't really going, but just like the build-up wasn't even necessarily build-up. It was just more so just like an hour of these douchebags getting high, and then just leading to where it was going. Like, there was just so many like pointless sequences, just them getting high. Like, that's pretty much just like 20 minutes worth of the first hour. It's just these people just like walking around, not doing anything.
But Brian, don't you get it? It's like supposed to be a metaphor for how the main character breaks out of reality, because they would break out of reality when they do drugs. Don't you get it?
Oh, my bad.
We need these clever metaphors, or else they won't get it. Don't you get it?
Yes. But I mean, I already explained the stuff I liked about this movie briefly. But yeah, the cinematography and directing are perfection. The editing's amazing. The lighting is amazing. Something about the lighting is just gorgeous. Like, a lot of people are saying, it kind of looks like a Wes Anderson horror movie, and it really does in a way that I think is really nice.
The production design's great.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like just as a movie, it does a lot of stuff that like a lot of stuff on the table I do love about, like the plot, where it was going, and like a lot of stuff about the plot are stuff that I did really love. There's a lot of great scenes in the movie, a lot of fantastic scenes, but they're all just underweighed by just too much build up of just not really leading to anything. But the stuff I loved about it, mixed with the stuff I didn't like, makes for like a solid 7 out of 10. Like I will watch this movie again. I will probably get it on Blu-ray, but it's definitely underwhelming compared to the oomph that Ari Aster went off the first time. And I'm hoping that his third movie will be better. Because not just Hereditary, also, have any of you watched A Strange Thing About the Johnsons?
No.
It's
Nope.
fucking something. I'll just say that.
It's
It's
something.
I want him to do something other than horror. I want to see what he can do doing, an actual story that is focused
I
on
wanna see him do
characters
a
instead of
musical.
trying to.
Oh, the strange thing about the Johnsons is
No.
like the strange thing about the
No.
Johnsons is like horror, and it's like every genre mixed into one 30-minute short film in ways.
I want to watch more. Who's the guy? Max Richter, the guy who did Rocketman.
No, Dexter
No,
Fletcher.
Dexter Fletcher.
Dexter Fletcher. I want more musicals. I miss musicals. They're
Same.
beautiful.
Same.
I miss good musicals. Let me fix that sentence.
Like I said, there's a lot of love about Midsommar, and as much even though Florence Pugh's performance is definitely a bit over the top, but at the same time, it's kind of in a way that I think brings the emotion. I don't even know how to explain this, but just like she showed a lot of emotion, which I loved about the performance. Also, the other performances were good, and I can tell that Ari Aster loves casting non-American actors in the lead roles and then just getting him to do a really good American accent.
Yeah.
I guess it's just what he likes doing. Because like the leads of it, all the leads of this movie, I think are British, except the other kid. What was the
eyebrows man from the Maze Runner?
No. Will Poulter's British.
Is he?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
He's
I didn't know that. No, I've been following this kid since We Were the Millers, and I did not know these things.
Same.
Oh,
I fucking love Will Poulter though. Will Poulter's a real G.
Wasn't he supposed to be like? Wasn't he supposed to be like the Joker or something?
Wait, what? No.
He was in the run. He was in the.
He was in The Dark Knight Rises. I don't remember who he was though.
I think he was in the running for Joker, but he obviously didn't.
I picture him more as the Riddler.
Speaking of
maybe.
the Riddler, Taron Egerton as the Riddler.
I'd love that. I fucking love that.
I mean, he has the flamboyance to do it.
Yeah.
He can do it.
And also, this is a better movie for Jack Rayner than Transformers: Age of Extinction. I'll say that.
Where he literally spent a whole minute.
Oh.
He had a laminated piece of paper explaining why it was okay for him to be dating an underage girl.
Wait, what the fuck are you? Wait, what?
What?
Are you fucking
You don't know
serious?
about that scene?
No, I haven't seen that piece of shit.
There is literally a whole scene where he explains through a laminated newspaper clipping, which he carries around with him, explaining why it's legally okay for him to be dating Mark Wahlberg's daughter, who is younger than him.
I mean, that's probably what
I
Michael
swear,
Bay
I'm
was
not
doing
making
Megan
this
Fox.
up.
Okay,
That is actually a scene in that movie.
That's
I mean,
probably what Michael Bay thinks so.
well, from a Michael Bay movie, that's all too fucking weird. That's all too weird for
Megan Fox's ass.
for him of all people to be doing a scene like that. That is just horrifying. But Midsommar, good movie, could have been a lot better, and insanely underwhelming compared to our Aster's first movie. But I still have a lot of faith in him as a horror director. He knows what he's doing when it comes to just making kind of like melancholic horror in a way that completely works. So I have a lot of faith in him. I just kind of want him to just, know what he's doing in terms of leading to a satisfying conclusion. That's all.
All right.
But anyway, good movie. Go see it over some shit like what's out right now. Oh yeah, go see it over Aladdin. Go see it over
Lion King.
Oh yeah, definitely go see it over Lion King.
Sure.
I forgot. Mark gave Lion King a higher rating than Midsommar.
Yeah.
Why?
It's better than Midsommar.
Hashtag Crimes is over party.
Hashtag Crimes is over party.
All right, so now let's get to the real cake, where George tells us that we're wrong.
All right.
Okay, you guys go. Go, guys.
All right, come on.
Midsommar.
A foe has appeared, or a challenger has approached.
Yes, a challenger's approach. Midsommar is awesome. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Okay, so let me explain my thoughts on Hereditary. They are slightly complicated. I really enjoyed Hereditary. I thought it was pretty great. Toni Collette is fantastic. Not Alex Wolff though. Alex Wolff is actually like fucking awful.
All of film Twitter disagrees with you and me.
Yeah, Alex Wolff is genuinely terrible. There's some really cheesy moments in it, especially when Toni Collette is looking through that giant book and all the important words are highlighted in yellow. It's like, oh my god, really? Like, that's the corniest shit. But, and also, the ending had a little too much exposition, especially the fucking title card. Like, okay, that title card was so unnecessary. Why did you put it there? But either way, I really enjoyed Hereditary. Midsommar is a lot better in my opinion. It's almost as if, like, because Ari Aster probably made these two movies back to back, so I guess it's like, okay, I'm not as focused on making Hereditary because it's kind of a smaller scale project. He was more passionate about Midsommar, it seemed to me, and he kind of threw that out the window. And I think there's a lot about this film that's so incredible. The cinematography is insane. I especially like the like crystal whitish hue that's put on the movie. It actually puts you in the headspace of these characters who are
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say earlier.
Yeah, who are on like these like psychedelics, like, you know, like ayahuasca, or probably not ayahuasca, but something similar. Puts you in that headspace. The musical score is so creepy. I really love the editing in the movie and the sound design. Florence Pugh gives an incredible performance. Honestly, if she doesn't get nominated for an Oscar, which she probably won't,
Yeah, she's not going to, sadly.
all hell is gonna break loose. Like, she was so fucking amazing in this film. And
Her frowny face.
One thing I really love about this film, one of the most impressive things, you guys mentioned the production design, but I want to bring up the costume design. The costume design is actually, I think, the best costume design of this entire year.
Oh yeah.
I think, like
no wait, Rocket Man.
Yeah, Rocket Man's better.
Well,
yeah,
Rocket Man had
better.
great costumes too, but I think Midsommar was just better in that aspect, in my opinion. Though Rocket Man definitely has better production design, if that makes any sense. Okay, whatever. We're not talking about Rocket Man.
No, I want to talk about Rocket Man.
I wish we were, though.
I think the scene where, basically like the dance contest scene, where they're all wearing white and everyone's just falling down, I thought that was an insanely effective scene where it was just like so creepy. I was definitely entranced in that scene. That's the scene in the film. And the eyes wide shut scene, of course. It's and I honestly,
Also, one scene I loved was the scene where that fucking guy comes in wearing Will Poulter's skin. It's just like that part when that happened, I was like, wait, what the fuck?
Fucking Halloween mask.
People are gonna go with Will Poulter's dead Will Poulter for Halloween.
Yeah,
the new Halloween costume.
Oh my god!
I think one of my favorite parts of the movie is after that. I think the character's name is Christian. I don't know the actor's name.
Yeah.
He runs out of that fucking sex thing, you know, with his cock hanging out, and then he goes into that shed, and he finds one of the British characters just hanging from the ceiling, and you see, and his lungs are pulled out, and he's got flowers.
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, he's got flowers. He's got flowers in his eye sockets. And it's like,
there's so much like creative, like horror shit, and it's really great as a horror film.
Oh yeah. I was definitely creeped out by it.
Yeah, as much shit as I was giving to it. Like, I mean, it's like I love it as a horror film, except for some things. Sorry.
Okay.
Anyways,
you guys
fucking laughable.
You guys are bringing up the pacing of the film. Yeah. I thought it actually really benefited the film, that it kind of meandered a little bit, because that's kind of what you do when you're
definitely not.
What? Can I explain my theory?
Let him explain.
Sorry, I respect your opinion though, George. Don't worry.
I think it actually enhances the experience of the film because it makes you because it again puts you in that headspace of the two characters of the characters just being really really high and just in like a completely weird headspace of the film. And
See, if I were high, I would agree with you.
well, I think exactly so. And the meandering of the film, I think a large part of the score also kind of helps out with that a lot. And I think that there are moments in this film where you feel like you're not really watching a movie. It's almost like you just don't feel anything, and I think that's kind like you don't feel like you're watching a movie. You don't feel like you're in the movie or anything. You just kind of you're just like what is that? And I think the ending kind of perfectly portrays that. The final shot in particular was so effective in that regard. And I like that the movie kind of took its time to build the world. And even while the world building was going on, I thought the atmosphere was incredibly creepy. And I also kind of want to bring up Mark's point about how the tragedy doesn't really affect the movie. Well, my counter to that is part of the reason she's having this really horrible experience is because of that traumatic grief that she has. Even though she is trying to escape from it, she's still, vulnerable because of it. And I think that's part of the reason that she's just going kind of insane through this whole thing. And I mentioned the orgy scene earlier. Like at that point, I was like, yeah, how is this movie not rated NC-17? Because like it's like that is so graphic, but I thought it was a great scene nonetheless.
The old lady's smiling while shoving his ass cheeks.
Yeah, how was that not an NC-17 movie? That's more graphic than Shame, which actually is rated NC-17.
You see Michael Fassbender's like 8-inch dick, so
I mean, sure,
it's intimidating. Okay,
I mean, either way,
you're gonna make the men feel bad in the audience.
With Midsommar, I can't really say that there's really a hindrance on this movie. When I was really thinking about this movie, I was like, maybe there's something wrong with it. It took, like, it was still like on my mind, like days and days after I watched it because it just stuck with me, and I don't think that this film traumatized me as much as Climax did. But in terms of which film was the better film, I think Midsommar is the better film.
Really? I think okay. Since you brought up Climax, I think that's a good segue into like discussing.
They're very different films. I'm just saying. I think Midsommar is a better film, but Climax is more traumatizing.
No. See, look. I think now that you brought it up, I think it might be they can be comparable in a way because what I'm getting more at is not the storytelling itself is more of
about the whole dancing and stuff. Sure.
No, I'm talking about how they differ from like showing their main characters trip on drugs and how one excels in that and actually puts you in the mindset and the other one is just kind of like okay, it's more dreamy. It's more like woo. Well, Climax is very much more intense in how it portrays that, and it does it in a completely different way.
I did say that Climax is more traumatizing, though. Did I not?
No, I'm not even talking about the traumatizing aspect of Climax.
I'm talking about in like overall like quality. In which film I really stuck with me more? I think Midsommar is probably that. But I think Climax was just more like traumatizing because of the presentation of it. But I mean, I guess I don't know. Midsommar, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna say it. 5 out of 5.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Yo.
5 out of 5.
Nice. Okay. I mean, it is a good movie.
It's not as good as Booksmart, but I still love it.
He's doing this just to
I
spite
just
me
love-
right now, by the way.
I just fucking love
Well,
picturing just Mark
I
saying.
say that because, you know, in the highlight episode, I was like, yeah, this is the best movie of the year. Then I said the same thing about Booksmart, and now I'm just like, guys, I just want to make sure this is not as good as Booksmart, but I also want to do it to fuck Mark over.
I know,
just
he's
love-
going
I
to
was
watch The
gonna say-
Farewell, and he's going to be like, okay, 0 out of 10. Fucking hate this movie. So bad.
I just
Dude,
love
I
fucking.
don't want to give. I don't think it's gonna be a 0 out of 10. I think it's gonna be awesome.
I probably cheated a little bit on this because I actually found and read the script for this movie beforehand. The script had been
idea.
circulating. I mean, I don't regret it, but maybe I kind of do, but I thought it was worth it. But anyway, it had been circulated online for a while. I managed to track it down, and I read through it, and I got really into it. I was really engaged and compelled, and by the last 20 pages, I was in utter shock. So my reaction to the movie itself wasn't quite as raw as it probably would have been if I hadn't read it, but it still was a very satisfying experience. I mean, there's a number of things in the script that aren't in the final film, but I won't disclose those because I think there's going to be an extended cut, which is going to be absolutely fucking insane. Like I said, how did this movie not get an NC-17? Because it seriously looks like it just barely escapes that.
As much as I hate YMS, he brought up in his review that like the movie most likely almost got an NC-17 because of all the sexual content.
Yeah, I
Which-
think it almost did.
I mean, like honestly, the NC-17 is like real pussies with that shit. So I mean, I can kind of see that because like the violence in the movie, it's graphic, but I wouldn't say it's like next level graphic.
I mean, I think it was more to do with like all the graphic nudity and stuff.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Sex.
Well, even then, I mean, like it's not really like I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of boobies. And Jack Rayner shows
It's a bunch of boobies.
And
Jack
bullshit.
Rayner shows his little ding dong. Wait, what, Jeff?
And a lot of full frontal male and female nudity. Anyways, I have this experience with a bunch of movies where I'm not exactly sure what to think of it once I immediately get out of it. But as I think on it more, I grow to dig it a lot more. And I had that reaction here. Like, I wasn't sure what to make of it. Okay, I kind of knew going in because, like I said before, I read the script. But it took me some time to contemplate, okay, how did they pull that off in the final film? Like, I was trying to figure out my reaction to how they executed it. And after thinking about it, I really dug it. And George, you said that you like this more than Hereditary, right?
Yes.
I'm going to have to agree with you on that. I'm also in that camp. For me, I think this movie did more for me. I was more able to understand what this movie was trying to do than Hereditary. Because, like, Hereditary really had me in the first act, and then later on, it just went it kind of lost me. It went off in a bunch of different directions, and I wasn't sure what it was trying to do or say. This, I felt like it had a better handle on what it had on its mind and what it was trying to do, and go in this really elaborate and fucked up way of portraying a really bad breakup. And apparently Ari Aster says that this is pretty much what it was like for him when he had a breakup. And I would want to say, I said in my Letterboxd review, Mr. Aster, please show us on the chart where your ex hurt you.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
that's what I want
That's
to know.
basically the thing.
No,
What happened?
he did, Mark.
You know what? I hope that he is the boyfriend in the movie. So like it can be like confirmed that he stole Hereditary from somebody else.
Oh,
He stole the script of Hereditary from some other poor soul.
Oh God! No.
Wait, Mark. Mark, is the reason why you hate Ari Aster so much just because of your breakup with him?
You know what? He was a dick, and he smelled like cigarettes.
And he got your Subway order wrong.
He got my Subway order wrong.
Which I don't even know how actually, how is that even possible?
He gave me a BMT without sriracha, and I was very pissed
Without
off.
sriracha.
Without sriracha.
That's why he gave Midsommar 1 out of 10 because he didn't give you sriracha.
Yep, he forgot.
anyways. But I digress.
Oh my God! Imagine if like fucking a director's like before he became a director, like before he became famous, he was working at like McDonald's, and then he got your order wrong, and then years later, like, oh, that guy used to work at McDonald's, and then you just give him a 1 out of 10 because
You never forget it.
10 years later he pissed you off, or 10 years later he pissed you off. I'd do that.
but I digress. So yeah, like I said, I had a better idea handle on what this movie was trying to do, and I agree. I think it was a little too long and drawn out for its own good. I think this would have been more effective if you cut it down by maybe 20 or 30 minutes, maybe more, maybe less. But I think the overall narrative of it and the general feeling it gave you of it, you're like Florence Pugh, and that the more this goes on, the more you are absolutely uncomfortable and you just want to fucking leave. But you can't because
I paid $20 for these fucking tickets. I'm gonna watch it, goddammit.
Wait, Mark. Are tickets $20 where you live?
I paid to watch it with somebody. Me and my friend watched it.
What's your friend think of it?
Me and him were both laughing our asses off.
Yeah. But like I said,
we were both snickering. But he loved the movie.
But like I said, it really captures that feeling of like if you're like stuck over in Sweden with a bunch of these guys who don't really care that you're here and in general don't really want you to be there, and you're just stuck there and all this fucked up shit goes on. It really captures that uncomfortable and unpleasant atmosphere in a way that's really horrifying. And cinematography is great. The score is fantastic. Like that score in the final scene is just amazing. The performances are all really good. Florence Pugh she's fantastic. It's just, I felt for her because like all these guys are fucking assholes and fuck them.
Yeah, same. I agree.
They're all dicks. The whole movie is nothing but dicks.
They really are.
Big dicks, little dicks, miniature dicks. It's all there.
Ass cheeks.
Like I think it really does a good job of capturing what it feels like to be in like a really unstable relationship. Like the whole time you're like, dude, these two would be so much better off without each other. They don't mix. And it's just a really insane experience. Like I said, I think it goes on a little too long, but I'm very eager to watch it again, especially the extended cut, because I want to see the fucked up shit they cut.
I'll check out the extended cut.
Sure. Yeah, but I mean, Midsommar, I liked it more than Hereditary, and I'd say 8 or 9 out of 10. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so people listeners, please don't get me wrong. Like I said, I liked it, but there's problems.
I fucking hated it.
And,
Cancel me all you want. Cancel me all you want. The Lion King remake was better than Hereditary. I mean,
you also gave Birth of a Nation 5 out of 5.
If people were that big of pussies about your opinions, you probably would be insanely canceled a fucking long time ago.
I have been canceled. I have always been canceled.
Wasn't like the first time I ever met you, you said you didn't like E.T.? Or what?
Yeah.
That was one of the first times. I can't remember if that was the first. But like one of the first times,
because I don't like E.T. Yeah.
You're like one of the first times I like fully spoke to you. You told me that you didn't like E.T.
I don't like E.T.
I hate you.
That's it.
Wait, what? I didn't hear you.
Podcast is over.
Okay, when I think of when I also like there's so many examples I think of when I think of like fucking hot takes of Mark. One of them is that fucking one part from an earlier podcast where you just went off all your Steven Spielberg ratings and like most of them were like 5 or lower.
Oh yeah, and then y'all were just like investigating. You were like,
you said like Jaws like a 3 out of 10.
I know, you're like Jaws? Or it was Jack who kept on doing it. He was just like, Jaws? And I was just like, 5 out of 10.
Wait, what'd you give Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? 5 out of 5?
5 out of 10.
Oh wait, not out of 5?
Oh wait, King of the Crystal Skull? Oh, that's like a 2. That's a 2 out of 10.
5 out of 5. What are you talking about?
See, I'm not a contrarian. I just like good movies.
It's so good. The CGI aliens is so good. Wait, oh my god, doesn't that movie has kind of like the same ending as Dead Don't Die, Aliens?
No, see, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is the same ending as Midsommar. Everything burns.
Shit, damn, you're right. Anyway, so are we done with Midsommar?
Midsommar.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we're done.
Midsommar. I don't even know what that means. Okay, fuck, what am I saying? So, next film is probably going to be a really short segment. So, the next entry in the Spider-Man films, Spider-Man Far From Home, from homosexuals. JK.
Nice, Brian. Nice.
Was that
So-
joke homophobic? I fucking hope not. It's not.
Yes, it was. Definitely.
Damn it.
Obviously.
Hey, fuck, I'm probably the queerest person in this podcast, so I can say whatever the fuck I want, and you know what? I'm fine. So,
All right.
Far From Home. So what do you guys think?
I liked it a lot. I liked it more than Homecoming, and I think I really like the MCU's take on Spider-Man and Peter Parker, and all the dissenters who are like, oh, why does he always have to be Iron Man, Tony Stark? Oh, why can't he just like fuck off? Like,
Fucking nerds!
Nerd!
like I really
yelled too
think
loud.
it's been really done well with how it's built upon, like the immediate aftermath of Endgame, like
Yeah.
and how things continue immediately after that, and how everyone handles it, and how Peter is dealing with living in a world without Tony, his mentor for all this time. And it's basically, I really like how they've handled his growth as a character, how he's basically become more of a real Spider-Man. Like, he's taken more responsibility and figured out how to really come to terms with accepting his responsibilities as a superhero. And I just feel like it's done a really good job. I honestly think Tom Holland has been the best at both Spider-Man and Peter Parker in terms of portrayal. But anyway, okay, you laugh, but like Tobey Maguire was the better. Tobey Maguire was great Peter Parker. Andrew Garfield,
Tobey Maguire.
Spider-Man.
Andrew
Tom
Garfield
Holland
was
great as
not
both.
good Spider-Man. What are you talking about?
I mean,
Andrew Garfield?
Andrew Garfield
I mean,
was the best part
he
of
had
it.
a good scene as Spider-Man. And that's when he like stops the bullies from beating the little nerd kid.
Okay, now I guess it
Garfield's the
pales in
first-
comparison, but I digress. Anyway, more about Far From Home specifically. I really like this. I really like how it went international. And honestly, Mysterio, I really liked how they handled Mysterio. Like of course, Jake Gyllenhaal, he gives it his A game. And I really how they handled him as a villain. I mean, like, people acting, there are all these people acting all surprised that, oh my god, he really is a villain. Like, do you not know who Mysterio is? Have you not read a Spider-Man comic? Well, I mean, who reads the comics these days? But
He's
do you
a
not know
hack.
the history of Spider-Man villains? But of course, like, it's Jake Gyllenhaal. So, I mean, I trust Jake Gyllenhaal. But
I didn't even know where the fuck that was going. So when it turns out he was villain, I was like, I am not shocked at all.
yeah.
And, well, maybe
But
it's
the
'cause everyone's
reveal-
saying he was villain.
The general reveal was really well handled, and I think the idea of like making him like an untrustworthy sort of mentor, and I don't know what I'm saying, but like I think they handled him as a villain really well, and I think the action set pieces were great, especially the illusion action set pieces, like those really hallucinatory, trippy sequences.
Oh, yeah, I
those
love
are
those.
probably some of the best action set pieces I've seen in a long time in the MCU. Like, those are some really creative and inventive set pieces. Let me just say, the first mid-credit scene, if we've all seen this movie, so you know, this is spoilers. J.K. fucking Simmons is back, baby.
Yes.
They're not going to bring him back in the other movies, at least.
Well, I even if they don't, when that happened, I literally leapt out of my seat and said, "Oh my god! Oh
That
my
was
god!"
awesome.
That
Honestly,
was my literal reaction. I could not believe it, and I was so excited. And then, if that wasn't enough, the whole direction they went afterwards with that
Mysterio
cliffhanger.
exposing the fuck out of him.
Yeah, that I can't.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm like, holy shit! How long do I have to wait to see the culmination of that? Because holy fuck! I think it's a nice little mood picker-upper. I don't know what the term is, but after
Feel good movie.
a feel-good movie after the emotional whatever of Endgame that it ended on, I think it's a nice way to pick things back up in terms of mood.
Just like how Ant-Man the Wasp was after Infinity War.
Yeah, but this one actually felt necessary, and this is
That
coming
was
from
actually good.
And this is coming from someone who likes Ant-Man and the Wasp. I understand why people don't. Seriously, what the fuck?
No.
It's horrible.
It's
not
really
funny.
bad. It's the
It's
worst
not
movie in the
interesting.
MCU. I don't.
Okay,
care
Oh,
what
see,
anyone else
see,
says.
Age of Ultron.
Thor Ragnarok
What
is
the Dark
worse.
World wants
Oh,
to work
come
with
on.
you.
Come on, Mark. Come on, Mark.
I like Taki Waititi, and that's why it's so bad.
I love Taika Waititi, and that's why it's so good.
I thought we all agreed that Thor: The Dark World was the worst MCU movie.
No, Age of Ultron.
No, Ant-Man and the Wasp way
It's
worse.
so fucking boring, though.
I haven't seen The Dark World, but Age of Ultron is fucking garbo.
I don't remember a single thing
God.
that happened in Dark World.
Age of Ultron is like literally a fuck
Age
you.
of Ultron is cancer.
But I digress. I'm done talking about Far From Home. Who
sorry.
wants to go next?
All right,
My turn.
let Merc
Woo!
go.
All right, so I did not like Far From Home whatsoever. I think I gave it I think I actually gave it a 3. I'm not sure.
3 out of 10.
Okay, yeah, I didn't enjoy it. I just don't enjoy Tom Holland as Spider-Man, or I just don't enjoy how they take his character. I like. Okay, hear me out. You're gonna have to. It's gonna take a little bit of suspension, but I like how they play Spider-Man in the movies. I just don't like his performance, and I don't like his overall like. I feel in a way Tom Holland's Spider-Man is basically the Spider-Man that is from the comics, where it's like, oh, he puts the community in front of him. He does he's the quintessential Spider-Man. But my problem with that is what I love about the Raimi trilogy is that they elevated that and they make him more of a human being. They make him more of a human than just an idea. And I feel like that's what they did with the Homecoming, where they just kind of focused on, okay, he's a teenager, yeah, and they got some good things out of that. The most heroic thing in that whole movie is when he saves Michael Keaton. That's like an actual good superhero scene. Like he's an actual hero. He's willing to save even his enemies. That's good. That should have been in a better movie. Something about Far From Home or like this Spider-Man trilogy is that they're able to keep it interesting. They have twists, they have turns, and they're well done. But the movies themselves are they trap it in such like a awful, uninspired mess. You have good elements, but most of it is just so bland and copy and paste. That's just normal Marvel movie complaint. It's nothing new, and a lot of this movie is just nothing new, and it was boring. How can you say a Spider-Man movie was boring? Homecoming was just like Homecoming was but Far From Home was just boring. The way they took MJ's character, holy fuck. So like, what was it? There's the line where she's like, "Oh, you look pretty tonight," and then she's just like, "Oh, does that make is that make me up? Is that my only characteristic or some shit? What was it? Like she's an SJW.
Like, so that means I have value or something?
Yeah, I don't know why they took her the droid route.
Then didn't
from
she
Rogue
say
One.
like I'm messing with you or something?
Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
No.
I don't
she
remember.
Said, like, I'm messing with you and you look pretty too or something.
I don't remember these things. I watched the movie and I didn't enjoy it and I forgot about it immediately.
When I was talking about Dead Don't Die in Midsommar, my discussion is probably going to be like 3 seconds long because I don't have that much to say. Okay, so actually I do kind of have some stuff to say, but it's not too much. So I was kind of dreading this movie because the trailers look like absolute fucking trash. It didn't look funny. It didn't look good. It didn't look new. This movie, I completely agree with Mark on this, but I liked it a bit more. But I still didn't insanely care for it. So I thought the trailers looked like shit. I thought nothing about the movie looked special. Nothing about it looked really interesting. I was kind of dreading watching it because I was like, this is gonna be horrible. I just know it. And like, fucking all the hype came out when it first came out, like best Spider-Man movie ever, and that hype lasted like 2 days.
Yeah, and then it disappeared.
And then
they're like, oh yeah,
no one
Sam
cares.
Raimi.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2 is a thing, and that's like masterpiece.
People are acting like it's better than Spider-Verse and Spider-Man 2. Like, I respect you guys' opinions, but get the hell out of here.
Exactly.
Yeah. What else? I don't know.
You know, I forgot how good, like, okay, I recently rewatched all the Spider-Man movies, like the original ones, the Tobey Maguire,
Yeah.
and I forgot how good he was as Peter Parker.
He's awesome.
I know.
He's
amazing.
awesome. The Uncle Ben scene is like genuinely like fucking hard to watch. I remember it being like, oh, like when watching it as a kid, I was just like, oh, he died. Uh-oh. And now that I'm watching it, I'm like, damn, they did a good job. Like
Yeah.
Alex Wolff wishes he could like cry like that.
Ah,
Say that to Twitter. No.
you had to.
I had to do it to him.
Hashtag Krimes is over party.
Oh, are we gonna just keep repeating that throughout this entire thing?
Yes.
Just name it that. Remove Ticket Booth Podcast. It's just Crimes is Over Podcast. Or that should be in the title at least. Just Crimes is Over.
Hey, Brian, can you are you done talking about Far From Home?
Oh yeah.
No, not at all.
No. Oh, he's not done.
Just get started.
Okay, go on.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, I saw it, and my expectations were low, and I mean, it was better than I expected to be. There was a lot I loved about it, but at the end of the day, it's just so bland, really. Like, there's a lot I loved about it. There's some scenes I really thought were great. The whole, like, Mysterio illusion stuff I thought was great. The scene with Peter and Happy I really loved. The endgame approach I loved. There was some really, really fun... Like, throughout the first 50 minutes, I was like, oh my god, I'm actually laughing? Like, I was genuinely laughing at some of those jokes. And then it just kind of, like, deteriorated. And then it kind of feels like a regular modern mainstream comedy, but in disguise as a Marvel movie. And some of the jokes work, and there's also a lot of jokes that really fucking fall flat.
Like the banana.
Yeah, like there's a lot of jokes.
No.
That
You can
really
dodge it. You can dodge a bullet, but you can't dodge a banana. I'm
with
like,
your
oh,
Peter Tingle.
God.
Your
Peter Tingle, yes.
Oh my god, fucking cringe, bro. If it weren't for the endgame approach and some really, really funny jokes and some really, really creative shit, this would just be literally nothing. It would be.
There were some nice set
nothing.
pieces, like action.
Oh yeah, but here's the thing. I liked Homecoming quite a bit, actually. I didn't think it was amazing. In fact, for the most part, it kind of was a bit basic, but at the same time, it also kind of wasn't. It felt like a really, really fresh and creative take on Spider-Man that we've never seen before. Just skips the whole origin, just kind of segues into more of kind of like a traditional take on Spider-Man. In a lot of ways,
Yeah.
it did that just like kind of like a basic way, and maybe the movie itself isn't that special. But for a Spider-Man movie, I actually thought it was really kind of exceptional. In a way,
Michael Keaton. I'm waiting for him.
What?
I'm waiting for Michael Keaton to come back because I loved his character.
Oh yeah, imagine Michael Keaton 3 years after being in a movie that basically said "fuck superhero movies" is now in a superhero movie. Like, I'm sure
He
everyone
is
else
the
said that.
superhero.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie, so like I said, there's some stuff I loved about it. Jake Gyllenhaal is so fucking good in this movie. He is so fun to watch as Mysterio, and God, he is having the time of his life, and I love that. Like, him fucking just yelling all the time, and literally all the stuff that he's doing in this movie is just so fun. He is chewing, he's not just chewing up the scenery, he is fucking devouring it as Mysterio, and God bless him, he's having the time of his life. And too bad he looked like he lost his mind in the interviews.
Oh god, his fucking eyes were popping out. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
god, what are you doing?
I think
He
this movie
freaks
melted
out Tom Holland so much.
I think this movie melted his brain. This movie
He
just,
is the master of
Benedict,
illusion.
Benedict Cabbage Patch.
No, guys,
Yeah.
I think Jake Gyllenhaal was attacked by some ghouls.
ghouls. It makes sense because Tilda Swinton is in the MCU.
Yes, she is.
Wait, what if Tilda Swinton's character in The Dead Don't Die and Tilda Swinton's character in the MCU are the exact same person?
They are.
I mean, yeah, they are.
I mean, I
Let's
don't
just
know.
say they are. Confirm it's canon.
It's canon. Dead Don't Die is in the same universe as Spider-Man: Homecoming.
That's anyway. What else? So, like Homecoming, I like the unique approach it tried with Spider-Man, whereas the sequel just segued in just typical MCU schlock with nothing new. Like, I'm not even asking for MCU, just make the next Guardians of the Galaxy 2 or the next Thor Ragnarok, or the next Guardians of the Galaxy 1, or the next Endgame even. Just, you can make just light, fun action movies. But here's, like, step one, make a fun action movie, and step two, make it fucking good. Like,
See, I think it would have been nice to have like a little grace period after they dropped the Endgame. Like,
yeah.
give it like a year or two before you start picking up the
like,
movies.
I don't know why they segued into Spider. Like, actually, if you gave it a year or two, it might actually have been a little better. Because, like, you spend all this time wondering where it's going to go next, and then, boom, all this stuff happens just right after. Honestly, that probably would have been better.
Honestly.
And,
They just waited a little bit, but no, they're like, we got to get that money. Got to get that Endgame money. They did it so...
More like
think about it.
pitching.
They did it so quickly, they had to actually, for their trailer, they had to have the actors say spoiler warnings for the movie that's still out.
They probably weren't even allowed to play it in any theaters.
Yeah.
Like, there's enough in this movie that I enjoyed where I could probably give it, like, a positive rating and say overall that it's enjoyable. But at the same time, mixed with all the other shit I really just thought was just bleh. And stuff that had me cringing and stuff that just also... Like, I wasn't bored, but I also kind of just wish, like, so much of it just wasn't so fucking... Like, most of it is stuff we've already seen. It felt like every other MCU movie with nothing new, nothing groundbreaking. And even as fun of a villain as Mysterio was, wasn't his origin story done it before? Like, have we already seen, like, the typical MCU villain that's kind of like, oh, I was undermined, and now I'm coming to get my revenge for being undermined by everyone else.
This was done in this franchise, probably.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
It was done in Ant-Man.
Like, all the creative, humorous approaches to some of the stuff in the MCU I liked. There were some really funny lines. There were some really funny jokes. There's a lot of other jokes that really kind of had me cringing. There were some really, really nicely done emotional moments. Like, I actually kind of felt something at the end with the whole Iron Man approach. Like, there's a lot of stuff involving the Iron Man giving the powers to Spider-Man, of all people. And there's a lot of emotional stuff with that I actually thought was actually quite well done. And it actually kind of made me feel something.
I genuinely, this is just me, I don't like the fact that they thought we can't have a Spider-Man character without any connection to the Avengers. And so what they did was they just made his whole character be surrounded around Tony Stark. Honestly, it kind of removed from his individuality for me. Like, it just kind of felt like, okay, no, we can't just have him be this character by himself. No, he has to be... His actions are based all around the Avengers. Without Tony Stark, there wouldn't be no Spider-Man in this universe. Yeah. And it's like, that's kind of lazy. And it's really interesting, especially with how the series is going right now.
Yeah, and I just, other than some... Like, this movie is insanely fan-servicey, but even then, I am a huge Spider-Man fan, and even I didn't really even feel much for most of this movie. And the post-credit scene, I did really like. I liked the nice little nod to bring back J. Jonah Jameson, even though I got the post-credit scene spoiled, so I knew it was completely coming. Even then, he showed up to the premiere, so I mean, like, we kind of had some questions in our head as to whether or not that was happening.
Jonah Jameson!
Which, okay, him coming back was nice. And the actual stuff that happened in the post-credit scene was kind of a nice little cliffhanger. I'm like, oh my god, what's coming next? So I am interested to see where they're going with the third one, but we'll see what happens. It's probably going to be just like that'll be the only interesting part of it. But most of the movie, literally, like, Ant-Man and the Wasp is just tired MCU bullshit, but at least it tried a little bit more to have something more to it, whereas Far From Home just kind of felt like only like 3 really good things save it from being just insanely fucking bland and average, which most of it is. And I don't really get the hype as to why this is like the people are saying this is like the best Spider-Man movie ever. And I love that people are loving this movie to death. I love they're so happy with it. I could not be happier that you guys are happy with it. But I just don't get it personally. Yeah. If the post-credit scene is the only reason why it made you jizz, okay, sure. But, like, I prefer, in terms of Spider-Man movies, what Spider-Verse and Spider-Man 2 brought to the table. As fucking overused that probably is to say, there's a reason, because those movies had a lot to them that made them unique.
Yeah.
Sam
Like,
Raimi's trilogy is fantastic.
Yeah, especially Spider-Man 3.
Definitely.
Well,
Like,
obviously.
Spider-Man 3, it's at least interesting. Unlike
The
Spider-Man.
Sandman animation is pretty. It's
At
pretty
least,
cool.
At least it tried to do something.
But
Like,
yeah,
it fucking tried.
and the thing is, Far From Home did have a lot of stuff that I really loved in it, but it's just underway by all the typical MCU bullshit. And as much as I did enjoy this movie a lot more than I was expecting, one of the biggest things that I thought going in, and the reason why I thought it was going to be so bad, was because I didn't think it would bring anything special, and that aspect it delivered because it didn't really bring anything all that special, aside from some really neat little things that it did with some of the MCU canon. Other than that, it's just a bland bowl of oatmeal with some fucking Lucky Charms thrown in.
All right, so I guess
And it's
no.
like I said, there's a lot of stuff I enjoyed in it, so much so that I would say it's a positive 6 out of 10. And the stuff I liked in it, I did really like. But overall, I just can't say it's really worth recommending. Say, well, okay, that's irrelevant because you guys are going to see this movie anyway. It's already made like $1 billion at this point. But
Yeah.
I don't think I'm really going to watch this movie again. And I might only get it on Blu-ray just because my family will probably want it. And they like collecting all the MC movies. So, I mean, maybe I'll watch it again at some point with them. But other than that, I just can't really see any reason why this movie's anything more than just average. But if people adore it, then good, cool.
All right, I guess it's my turn. So before I want to kind of talk about my opinion, did you guys know? I'm sure you guys heard of it at this point, but Kevin Feige said that he wanted to do a bunch of 3 Spider-Man trilogies in the MCU, one for high school, one for college, and one for adulthood. And I'm like, why? What is the point of this? Honestly. But anyway, yeah, Far From Home, I don't have much to say about it. It's decent. Honestly, it's fine. I cannot say in confidence that it's anything more than fine. I guess the Marvel is just continuing the motif of really shitty lines and decent fine movies because Black Panther had the "what are those" line, Captain Marvel had the fucking and cockpit line, and now this movie, when Happy turns on AC/DC, Peter Parker's like, "Oh yeah, I love Led Zeppelin." Oh my god, that line movie.
Okay, that was kind of funny.
I don't know, it made me kind of cringe, but I didn't take any points off for that. I think it's just fine. It is. I mean, it's fine. So Mysterio, I mean, I like Jake Gyllenhaal and I like the character. I like Jake Gyllenhaal's performance, but I didn't really care about him. Partly because his whole trope has been done 50 million times before, but also partly because he had no development. Something I would have liked to see is if he were put into Homecoming and they kind of developed it first and then they made him the villain in this movie, or if they introduced him in this movie and gave him development and made him the villain in the next movie and had this villain be I don't know, Doc Ock or something. There are parts of it that are formulaic. What's his friend's name?
Ned?
Yeah, Ned and Ned and his storyline, his plot line with Anguri Rice. I did not that was so tired of I've seen this plot line in 5 million fucking movies before. I'm tired of it. And I don't know, I was kind of bored and throughout the film sometimes. I mean, I laughed a bit. I liked a lot of the visual effects. I mean, Tom Holland's really good, but he ain't no Tobey Maguire. Obviously, the end credit scene where J. Jonah Jameson turns into Alex Jones was awesome.
Oh god.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really think about it, J. Jonah Jameson is just the MCU version of Alex Jones.
Except he doesn't send child porn to Sandy Hook victims.
Or he doesn't accuse the government of putting gay water
Chemicals. Gay water? You mean gay chemicals in the water to turn the frogs?
Did you guys should have seen him on Joe Rogan. He was just Joe Rogan got to go take a piss and then Alex Jones was just yelling for 3 minutes straight. It was awesome. Anyway, the 2 post-credit scenes were pretty great. I like Zendaya in this movie. I think she's the only
Disney Channel actress who's good.
she's the only Disney Channel actress who's actually showing some legit
I
acting
agree.
talent.
I've grown to like
I haven't
Zendaya.
seen Euphoria yet, but
Neither have I. I will.
I mean,
Now that Big Little Lies is over, I need a new show to binge.
yeah, same.
Big Little
Anyway,
Lies is the best thing ever made, by the way.
I think
The finale of Big Little Lies was so good, by the way. Okay, sorry.
no, it's fine. I think that like I mean, she's obviously Mary Jane, and I think she's a good character. I mean, sure, she's a better written character than the Kirsten Dunst Mary Jane, but it's hard to compare the two because they're two different characters essentially. Like Mary Jane in the original Spider-Man trilogy was kind of like a whiny, dumb kind, and this one she's just more of like an awkward, like smart person. So I can't really compare the two. Yeah, I mean I like the movie overall. I gave it a 7 when I first rated it. I might lower it to a 6. But either way, I don't think I'm ever gonna watch it again. I think Homecoming is the better film overall. I mean, I don't want to, sound like I'm beating a dead horse, but Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Verse, they did Spider-Man right. Spider-Man, like Spider-Verse had so many different Spider-Mans, and they got them all right. And Spider-Man 2, I mean, that's probably the best Peter Parker character arc ever. Like his character arc is actually like a real, genuine, like Spider-Man character arc. And in Far From Home, it's just kind of, he doesn't really change much at all, except that he gets caught. Some dude takes a picture of him with his pants down with some chick, and he doesn't know the context of it, so he thinks that he's just getting laid, and all this shit that happens. I don't know. The movie's fine, I guess. I'm never gonna watch it again. I was actually late to this movie, and I feel like I didn't miss anything.
I mean, the opening scene was pretty funny.
I mean, I don't know. I guess all I missed was just the Stan Lee montage, which, granted, I would have really liked to see.
Wait, the Stan Lee montage? No, there wasn't a Stan Lee montage.
Or there was something with Stan Lee. I don't know. I thought you said that.
You mean like the in memoriam thing?
Yeah. No, there was like a joking in memoriam montage.
Oh.
The morning announcements.
Yeah.
With the Comic Sans.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, I would have liked that. I would have liked to see that, but
it'll be up on YouTube in like a month. So
I guess I just kind of missed. I guess I just didn't really miss much of it. And and also, how many times are we gonna see the subplot of, oh, I work for this big, powerful man, but he betrayed me, so now I'm gonna get revenge on him? Like, fuck off. Honestly, if you're really that upset about it, then why don't you just pull a Fight Club and blow up Stark Tower? Honestly, come on. Anyway, yeah, that's all I have to say about Far From Home.
Okay, so next movie, I guess.
Yeah, Toy Story 4.
Right.
Yeah, speaking of 2 hours and 22 minutes, Toy Story 4.
It's only an hour and 40 minutes. What the hell?
No, we're talking about Midsommar again.
Oh, shit, sorry. Okay, anyway. So, I think I don't want to brag, but I just there's my thoughts on this I kind of want to get out. Okay, so Toy Story 4, if you know me for a while, you know how malicious I was to this movie's own existence. I thought that them making a new one after how well they ended the franchise with 3 was pretty fucking dumb as fuck and just the most blatant cast. Like Toy Story 4, seriously, that sounds like a meme parody they'd have in South Park. It's like the new installment in order to make fun of big corporations just want money making a sequel. And I trashed the fuck out of this movie for months before it came out with doing that. I just kept thinking this movie was going to be the worst movie ever. And okay, well, that, and also because I don't know if I fully told you guys this, but I actually got the ending leaked to me months ago. Intentionally. It wasn't like some dickhead spoiled it for me. I wanted to know what it was.
And then when I heard what the ending was months ago, I was infuriated. And then I was like, this is going to be the worst movie of all time. Okay, probably not that much, but I knew it was going to be bad. And then I decided to give it a chance. And holy fuck, add this to the pile of big movies that I was expecting to be horrible, but I ended up really enjoying.
Along with Endgame.
Well, no, not Endgame, Infinity War. Infinity War was like that for a while, but not only has it not soured on me yet, it's actually gotten even better the more I thought about it. Yeah, I saw this movie, and the ways that it surprised me were something I wasn't expecting, and that this movie handles the themes of what the toys really mean to their owners. It probably handles those themes the best out of the four. Okay, well, maybe. Well, in terms of how it delivers them, at least. Because it has a lot of themes presented on the table, and I loved how it presented them. And I loved all the stuff it did, and it showed really the passage of time and like what's really going to happen to all the toys when just they get passed on new owners, or when things just keep going on. And also, I just also kind of felt bad for Woody because he was like the most neglected out of all the toys.
Yeah.
To the point where that ending, in context of how the ending works, he's probably not going to be missed. Like, Bonnie's probably not going to notice that Woody's gone, which is probably like the saddest Pixar moment of all time. Because like
Woody should have left already.
Also, do you guys realize that everything that happened in this movie was just because Woody just wanted some pussy?
Yeah.
Exactly. Man.
He walked in the antique shop because he wanted to find Bo Peep. He had a serious Woody. That happened in this movie happened because Woody wanted some pussy.
Insert
Exactly,
slide
man.
whistle.
Woody is a real G. Okay, this might be the worst joke I've ever made in my life. Anyway, I just really, really loved where they went with this movie. And, like, as much as I loved where 3 ended, I do think that what they did with this movie felt necessary to add on to the franchise. And I kind of feel bad for all the trashing I've done in this movie over, like, the last several months, because I knew there was a chance it might end up being surprisingly good. And even when all the early reviews came in saying it was fantastic, I was still skeptical. And then going in and then turning out that I didn't absolutely adore it, but I did really enjoy it in ways that I didn't even expect to. This movie's not just like a blockbuster that probably surprised me, and I'm probably going to not like it in a couple months. Because like this movie did a lot that I just think is actually really admirable in ways like Pixar movies I probably haven't really reached in a while. And like it reaches those emotional cores. Like anytime something that really like plays with your nostalgia of the original films, it doesn't feel like it's only there just for your nostalgia. It feels genuine. Like that whole ending, when obviously you know what happens and you've seen it, it doesn't feel like it's there just to make the fans of the original films cry. I mean, obviously it does, but like it doesn't feel like that's its only intent. It just feels like it's necessary. And when I first heard the ending, I was pissed off as fuck. And seeing how it worked in the context of the movie, I was like, holy fuck, this is actually like a perfect ending. Because I knew it was going to happen. And then I was like, okay, so this is what's actually going to happen in my mind. And then when it actually happened, I was like, oh my God, this is actually what's meant to happen. And the way that it happens in the movie, in the context, is also really, really fucking sad. Pretty much every review of every Pixar movie says, oh, I cried a lot. Oh, I cried a lot. Oh, et cetera, et cetera. And this movie was probably the closest I've gotten to that in a while from Pixar. And goddamn was it in a way that completely worked. Like, it knew what it was going to do. Like, maybe it was only made for money. Well, probably it was. But if that was the case, then good that Disney got some more money off of it. Because, holy fuck, this was everything it needed to be, and the people behind it knew what they were doing. And it did its best job continuing off of 3 and continuing its plot. It had a lot of flaws, I'll say that. There were quite a bit of flaws. Some of the humor didn't work for me, and there's some writing aspects I think were the greatest, but there's a lot I really loved about it. And I love all the themes that are presented. Like, the animation, I think, has gotten a little bit too hyper-realistic at this point. But on the toys, it looked perfectly fine. But on the humans, it looked a bit off-putting. Like, that fucking cat, oh my God. Like, that does not mix in well with all these other designs. Come on.
Exactly.
But other than that, I just think this is actually a really, really solid feat from Pixar. And it's probably the most I've enjoyed a Pixar movie in a while. Probably more, probably on the level of Inside Out. I don't know, I just really, really fucking dug this movie. And like I said, I feel bad for all the trashing on this movie. And thank God it turned out to be actually good in a way that I wasn't even expecting. And thank you for knowing how to tug at my heartstrings in a way that didn't feel manipulative. And it did everything, like I said, it did everything it needed to do. And I'm glad it exists, even though its existence probably isn't the most necessary. And God bless you, Pixar.
All right. So I'll explain my thoughts on the first three Toy Story films. Toy Story 1 and 2 are pretty great. I mean, they're actually like great films. I mean, sure, they're a little bit dated, but I mean, it's
Well,
1995.
no one can disagree with that.
But I mean, what can you do about that, honestly? And they're well written films. The first two, Toy Story 3, is a different story. I know everyone loves it, and everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I personally am not that big of a fan of Toy Story 3. I thought that film definitely fell into the camp of straight up emotional manipulation.
I don't know.
In my opinion, at least.
I wouldn't really. Okay, maybe something like the high intensity. Okay, do you mean like in the trash compactor scene? That's probably just like, oh, look at us, we're gonna fucking dangle your toys over fire and make you cry.
Yeah, that was.
I can kind of see that.
That was the most egregious, but I thought
Yeah, that was really bad.
I think the most emotional part of the film was kind of at the end when Andy was going off to college. But even at that point, they were kind of pushing it a little bit. I thought. I mean, I enjoyed it overall, but I don't know. I can't really give it anything higher than give Toy Story 3 anything higher than a 6 out of 10, which I guess is a bit brash. But I gave the first two films both an 8 out of 10. So like, I don't know. I guess. Toy Story 4, I was very much like Brian in the sense that I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be a fucking cash grab movie. I saw that ad with Key and Peele in it, and I was like, oh boy, they got Key and Peele in this, of course. And I didn't get the ending spoiled for me because I was like, if I'm gonna see this movie, I'm gonna go see it. I'm gonna give it a real chance. I'm not gonna try to look up anything about it or look for a reason to hate it because that's just not right. And I went into it and I was like, yeah, that was pretty decent. The ending of the movie, I didn't really see it coming, but then again, I didn't actively search for it to get spoiled, and I thought it worked within the context of the film. I almost did shed a tear both times I watched it, but I didn't. It didn't really get me to that point. Like, I know I just kind of shat on the ad with Key and Peele, but the characters played by Key and Peele are actually my favorite characters in the whole movie. Like, I thought they.
Yeah, I liked them a lot. With the best character in the movie, Duke fucking Kaboom.
Yeah, he was one of my favorite characters.
Keanu.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves, man.
He was fucking funny, and also his backstory was like, oh my god. What was the kid's name again that abandoned him?
Rijon.
I mean, he's Canadian, so I mean, but I don't know. Either way, I was like, yeah. I mean, these characters, and one character's arc I wasn't really a fan of was Bo Peep. For one, Bo Peep didn't tell Woody to go be gay in Iran. So that was one thing they fucked up at.
Wait, what?
Did
you say you didn't tell Woody to go be gay in Iran?
Yeah, Bo Peep didn't tell Woody to go be gay in Iran. Do you not understand the reference, Jeff?
No.
It's a Bo Burnham reference.
Oh.
Anyway.
Don't you get it?
No, in all seriousness, I thought her arc was just the most cliche thing. I was like, yep, I know exactly where she's going to end up at the end of the movie. And I was like, yep, that's exactly what I expected to happen once it happened. And I was like, oh, come on. Show me something new, Pixar. Like, okay, here's the thing. I've gone on and on. It's no secret to the listeners of this podcast or anyone who follows me on Twitter. I fucking hate Disney with a passion. But I am willing to give credit where credit is due. But I also believe in not giving credit where credit isn't due, and this is one of those points where credit is not due. Write a better arc for your characters, please. And I did enjoy what they did with Buzz in this movie. I mean, some of the characters are kind of pushed to the sidelines, like, Mr. Potato Head, and I guess also...
Well, I mean, Bob Rickles was too busy being dead, so...
Exactly. Some of the side characters are kind of pushed off to the side a little bit. And I'm going to be honest, I was like, somehow, some way, Andy is going to come back into the story halfway through the movie. But they didn't do that. And I'm glad they didn't do that. Because that would have been that would have been terrible. I would be like, what are you doing? This makes no sense. I don't know. I enjoyed the movie despite me not thinking it was going to be that great. I don't know. It's a solid 7 out of 10, honestly. It was good. It was better than Far From Home. I've already seen it twice, and I could actually watch it for a third time if I really wanted to. I kind of enjoyed the movie, It was decent, honestly. But yeah, I mean, is it as good as Lego Movie 2? No. But is
No.
it good? Yes. It is. It's definitely good. Toy Story 2 is the best, then Toy Story 4, then Toy Story 3.
My thoughts on Toy Story 4?
Yes.
It's okay.
Is that it? It's okay.
It's okay.
I mean, you gave it
Yeah.
a 5 out of 10 with a heart, so I mean, you
5
like
out of 10 with the heart. It's okay. I mean, like, again, it's not anything too like interesting, too different. It's pretty much the same old shit, honestly. The only things I really enjoyed a lot or I thought were interesting was the whole little thing where it's like, oh well, toys have a choice, you know? It's like, I guess. Otherwise, the rest of the film is just kind of mediocre. I didn't find myself laughing a lot. I just watched it because of my brother. That's about it.
Oh, you're a good brother.
I know, that's the only reason I watched it. He liked Forky. He thought Forky was cute. I was like, he's cool. It was really underwhelming. It was just, yeah. 5 out of 10. It was kind of funny. I laughed a couple of times. When I did laugh, it was super rare, though. As a whole, it's not awful. It's not good, though. It's just in the middle. The end.
Well, I didn't really
Right.
expect Mark to think very highly of this film anyway, so.
Yeah. I like
All
Toy
right.
Story 2. Toy Story 2 is great.
Oh,
All-
it's the best
I
one.
like
Like,
all of them.
in fact, actually, I didn't stress this enough when. Okay, I kind of wanted to say when I was talking about Toy Story 4 how massively I adore the trilogy and how it's basically like a staple of my childhood and how much it means to me. But then again, I mean, everyone loves Toy Story. Come on, if you don't love Toy Story, you're fucking heartless.
Yeah,
If you don't
honestly.
love a Toy Story, you don't have a soul.
Exactly. So I mean,
Well,
like,
I don't have a soul anyway,
fact,
so.
all of us have grown up with Toy Story. Everyone who went to go see this movie grew up with it. I mean, don't lie.
Unless you're a little kid.
Well, even then, I think little kids have probably seen it by now.
I
mean-
I grew up with The Fox and the Hound.
You must have had a really sad childhood.
I did. That
Oh,
movie's
yes.
so. Have I already told this story where like my favorite movie when I was a kid was Fox and the Hound, and then I watched Watership Down.
So you just
And I was
watched all
traumatized.
depressing movies when you were a kid.
I was traumatized
Oh,
by
don't get me
Watership
wrong.
Down.
I fucking love Fox and the Hound. I love it. It's one of my favorite Disney movies.
Yeah,
Top 5. But God, that movie probably
It's so
would've
sad.
fucked me. It probably would have fucked
It's
me
so
up if I watched
sad.
it as a kid.
it was
Like-
so sad.
That's a movie I'm shocked was actually made from Disney because it's kind of movie. It seems like the kind of movie they probably just like try and make a little bit happier, but no, they made it. They were okay with it being fucking sad. And
That was in their
If you're-
dark period.
Disney
like
was
the-
dark
my-
back in the day, dude.
it's like
They were.
it's like the
I
only.
could write a book about that period of Disney's history.
I think it's the
Do it,
only.
Jeff.
I think it's the only Disney animated movie without a somewhat happy ending. Well, unless you count Ralph Breaks the Internet, which I mean,
Or doesn't Bambi have kind of a sad ending?
I mean, kind of, but like
Somber. I mean, the whole movie is just somber.
I mean, Fox and the Hound just like the entire movie's depressing. And it just ends with okay, they're done. Like they. Oh shit! I shouldn't spoil it.
It's a movie from like the 70s,
But
60s.
I want you
It's
guys to
fine.
watch it.
Wait, it's
What?
from like 82.
No, it's
Wait,
great.
what are we talking
by the
about?
way, not enough people know who's in it. Like Mickey Rooney, Kurt Russell, and Corey Feldman voices the younger version of I think the dog.
Yeah.
So that's pretty epic.
Kurt,
Oh, God,
I know. Fox and the Hound is
Brian,
like OG.
Brian, I'm sorry to interrupt, but whenever anyone brings up Corey Feldman now, I always think of that fucking album he made.
Oh, that shit's awful.
Oh my
He thinks
god.
he's
He
Jesus.
made an album.
You didn't know?
Yes!
Oh my god.
It's really
so,
bad.
It's so fucking awful. Oh my god.
Jeff, just watch the Anthony Fantano
Yeah.
video if you're
Watch
curious.
the
made-
Anthony Fantano
he
review.
made-
It's fucking classic.
He made 5 albums.
Yes. Corey. I don't know what he was thinking when he made those.
Corey Feldman's Truth. What the fuck is this?
Like I love Corey Feldman, but like stick to acting, buddy. Come on, just stick to acting, buddy.
oh my god.
Okay. Permission to upload this part of the podcast on my YouTube channel to show Jeff being dumbfounded by Corey Feldman's music career.
Permission granted. What the shit? I'm dumbfounded. I mean, what
You
the
wanna-
fuck is Corey Feldman's Truth Movement? Is that the name?
That sounds like a cult.
It does sound like a cult.
It's
That was the Swedish
sounds-
cult in
it makes-
Midsommar. It was
it makes
Corey
Corey
Feldman.
Feldman. It makes Corey
As if
Feldman.
I didn't need more proof to know that Corey Feldman is a fucking weirdo these days.
It makes Corey Feldman sound like he's a 9/11 truther.
Oh,
Yeah, he is.
all right. So, like Brian, I was against this movie existing from the very beginning. I thought they didn't need to make it. I thought they ended it perfectly with 3. I didn't see where they could possibly go from there. And I was pretty much apprehensive to it from the very beginning. And then I heard it was surprisingly really good. And I was like, oh, okay. So I wouldn't. I mean, I was gonna give it a shot anyway. I mean, I always see whenever there's a Pixar movie out, I always go see it. So I was gonna see it anyway, and I was surprised by how good it was. I actually saw it twice because the first time around I liked it enough, but I wasn't exactly sure how I felt about where they went with it. I mean, I kind of saw the ending coming. I mean, I kind of sensed it, but I wasn't sure how to feel about it because I was like, the first time around, I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess they did that. That was a risk. That was a choice. When I saw it again, it worked so much better for me. And that time around, when the ending hit, I cried almost as much as I did the first time I saw Toy Story 3. Props for Pixar for managing to subvert my expectations almost completely because I didn't expect this movie to be anywhere near this good. I wouldn't put it on the same level as the other 3, but it comes pretty darn close. It was better than it had any right to be. And I loved Woody's arc in this movie. I thought it was really, really well handled. And it was just felt like the natural progression of things. And I really admired it. And the new cast was great. I mean, Forky was the highlight for me. I loved Forky. He was hilarious. And Key and Peele, they were, yeah. I mean, he's our beloved Trash. And Key and Peele, they were great. Keanu, he was great. And honestly, I gotta say, I am so fucking happy that they didn't pull any of that twist surprise villain bullshit here.
Same.
I was so afraid that at some point they do that, and they never did. And I was like, thank you. A while early on, I was worried that they do that with Bo Peep. Oh, it's like not the same Bo Peep. I was worried. I was like, dude, if they fucking do that, I'm gonna walk out of the fucking theater. But no, they didn't do that, and I applaud them for that. And it's great to see Bo Peep again after her not being in 3. The animation, of course, some would argue it's gotten too hyper realistic, but aside from that, I gotta applaud how much it's evolved over 25 years. Like, put this and the first Toy Story side by side, and the difference is unbelievable.
It's
like,
insane.
there are some shots in this movie that are downright gorgeous. Like
Yeah.
opening shot where Bo and
opening-
Peep are underneath the car in the rain. That shot is just
Yeah.
gorgeous, and it's just such a pretty movie. And I was surprised how much I liked it. And it subverted my expectations. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was, but I'm really happy with it. And kudos to Pixar for proving me wrong.
Can we all agree that if they announce a fifth, they announce a fifth one, they're really gonna be pissed?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how they can.
Honestly.
I mean, how? How can you after this?
Exactly.
I mean,
The only way.
at best, if they want to make like I guess like a Disney Plus show about like Woody's new adventures with his new life, but I mean,
Yeah,
like,
that would be the logical way to go, but not another movie. I mean,
yeah,
you can't.
exactly.
Exactly.
You can't.
If they
They
do
set
that, I'm
themselves
pissed.
up.
Like what?
They
What?
set
Are they gonna make a
themselves up.
fucking- Are they gonna make a fucking prequel to Toy Story now? We're gonna see
They're
Woody
gonna
and
make the
Buzz as kids.
Flintstones. They're gonna make the Flintstones, but it's gonna be Toy Story.
Oh god.
Like Colin Trevorrow wanted to do with fucking Jurassic World. Does he still want to do that?
What, the Flintstones thing?
Yeah,
Be
I'd be
better.
down.
Oh
Be fucking
god.
better.
A
Yeah, but
Jurassic
that's not.
Stones
I'm gonna-
movie.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest. The only way that Disney's possibly going to get me to watch Toy Story 3, and I'm saying this unironically too. Don't think I'm saying this as
Five.
mean. Is if they put Caitlin Dever and Beanie Feldstein in it.
Here
That
we
is
go again.
That is legitimately the only way they're going to get me to see it. I'm not even kidding.
For those of you new listeners of the Kick It Boo podcast, you should know that George and also me are huge Booksmart fans, and George will go on nonstop about how much he loves those two girls. And
Help me, he won't stop.
yes, George is holding us all
have a
captive.
problem.
Please help us.
I mean, I have a problem,
Help.
but
George and I have a problem. Please help.
I think the two things George talks about the most are Booksmart and Scientology. They're both just.
And
they're
don't
both-
even get us started on the Scientology.
They're both.
I mean,
just
he's
as
not a
good.
Well,
Scientologist.
I talked about
but
Scientology because I fucking hate it and I want to make fun of it.
I mean, Scientology and Booksmart are pretty much on the same quality, anyways.
All right, Brian.
I'm gonna
I'm
ignore
just-
that
I
statement and
think
just
I
say,
think it's
messing with
time.
you.
I
I'm
think
just
it's about
kidding.
time that we cancel you.
I'm just kidding, but Mark probably
Cancel.
let me
Agree
just
with
say,
what?
We're gonna cancel you and Mark.
Okay, Mark. I
Yeah.
made a joke saying that Booksmart and Scientology are on the same level.
Of cancer, yeah.
I was gonna say,
Hashtag Krimes is over party. Hashtag Krimes is over party.
Oh my God. Mark,
Okay,
Mark, you're the man.
shall we move on to something else now?
First time watches, go ahead.
okay, so in terms of first time watches in July, first new one, I watched The Mouse and His Child, which, if you know a guy named Avery on Twitter, he talks about this movie nonstop. He absolutely adores it. It's a little obscure movie from '77. It's weird. It's not readily available, but it's up on YouTube, and it's odd. It's just one of those movies where weird shit happens and stuff just kind of happens. After that, I watched this impossible to find movie called Mr. Quilp, aka The Old Curiosity Shop. It's a musical based on the Charles Dickens story. Like I said, it's basically impossible to find anywhere. I had to order a DVD of it off a UK site, and it's basically ripped from a also extremely hard to find VHS copy of it. And so the quality is subpar, and it's okay. I mean, the music is all right. The music is pretty nice, although it is a real downer of a story, so I don't know what possessed them to think a musical of it would be a good idea. So yeah, I don't know why it's impossible to find rights issues, but I do want to do a video review of it sometime as soon as I get that VHS of it in the mail, which hopefully includes the full theatrical length cut of it, unlike the DVD I got. But we'll see. I rewatched the Toy Story trilogy in preparation for 4. I saw Crawl, which was surprisingly really good little creature feature. It really tense, kept me on. Really nice build up, and I mean, it was really good. I'm
I know
surprised how
Seba-
it was.
I know Seba's really hyped for Crawl.
He is.
Shout out to Seba.
And then I
Shout
saw
out.
Stuber, which was
Super.
mediocre. I mean, as an action movie, it was solid. As a comedy, it wasn't really funny. I mean, it was just kind of boring, and it didn't really keep my attention for a lot of the
They
time.
do something in the first 5 minutes that pisses us off.
Okay, should we spoil it? Because I mean, like, no, I mean, like,
I mean, no one's seeing this
It
movie.
happens in the first. It happens in the
Yeah.
first. They kill
Yeah,
Karen
basically,
Gillan in the first.
they kill
5 minutes.
Karen Gillan off in like the
I
opening
heard this
scene.
and I was fucking pissed.
But anyway, watch Jackass 3, the only
Yes.
Jackass movie I hadn't seen up to that point.
Jackass.
I love Jackass, and it was a really fun watch. I don't know how any of these people are still insured because of all this stupid shit.
Yeah.
How are all of them still alive? Is the better question.
I mean, one of them is dead because of a car accident, I
Well,
think.
I know that.
Yeah,
But
but
how is he not dead
Yes.
because of this?
Rest in peace, Ryan Dunn. By the way, that's
Oh
a
my
fucking
God.
tragedy.
Yeah.
and then I watched the 1998 videotaped production of Cats, and
Yes.
honestly, it's not like Tom Hooper has a high bar to clear here because this isn't high art. It's just okay. I mean, it's just a bunch of people in cat jumpsuits and fur doing a bunch of weird shit.
It's bad.
I'm not sure
It's
why
bad.
this is so popular,
It's bad.
It's really bad.
but I
It's
can
really
guarantee
bad,
you bet your ass I will be there opening day for the movie because I cannot wait to see how much of a spectacular disaster that is going to be.
The play Cats is kind of like an artsy furry convention.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
I
Andrew
honestly-
Lloyd Webber. It's Andrew Lloyd Webber. So
I'm honestly kinda unironically looking forward to Cats. I mean, I'm a sucker for musicals, and I know the CGI looks fucking terrible, but other
It
than
looks like
that, the
Sandler.
production design looks pretty nice, and the cast minus James Corden looks pretty appealing.
And Rebel Wilson.
James Corden.
I
Why is Rebel Wilson in Jojo Rabbit? That was fucking.
don't know, but yeah, can't wait to see how much disaster Cats is. And then today I saw The Last Black Man in San Francisco, which is
Lucky.
Yeah,
awesome. and it's gorgeous movie, great first time film, and the score is my favorite of this year by far. And it just go listen to the score to this movie as soon
I'm
as you
gonna
get
wait
a chance.
until I see the movie.
Or do that, but as soon as you see the movie, listen to the score because it's absolutely gorgeous. And then I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which we'll discuss. So
Okay.
yeah, that's it.
Jeff, do you want to mention a little film you and I saw on a Reddit stream?
Oh yeah.
That was so
George
long
and I
ago.
watched. Yeah, it was a while ago, but George and I watched THX 1138, and it's interesting. I'm not sure how to feel about it, but it felt like one of those movies that's really ahead of its time in terms of how weird and art housey it felt. Like oftentimes I kept comparing it to being like on sort of the same plane as something like High Life, like in terms of how it felt in terms of pacing and mood and that sort of thing. Like it felt like something along those lines that you'd see from art house cinema these days.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, I had seen the movie before, but I wanted to show it to a couple of people. And the reason why is because I want to do a YouTube video on it. I've been doing this series called Hollywood Geographic, where I've been taking like little pieces of Hollywood and just doing like kind of like a deep dive on them, explaining this is what happened with this. So I wanted to do that with THX. So I wanted to show it to a few other people. And and Jeff came and he watched it with me. So. And I wanted to do it because it was George Lucas's first film.
It's crazy to see how much he changed between this and Star Wars. You would never believe that these two movies were by the same guy.
And then he went on to say to compare Disney to White Slavers.
Oh, another watch I had to mention. I finally watched Who Killed Captain Alex.
Masterpiece.
Epic.
Action-packed the movie. Action-packed the movie.
Well, okay.
You want to watch it? Who killed Captain Alex?
Guys, there's one thing we all need to remember here. Everyone in Uganda knows Kung Fu.
Yes.
Stop.
Everyone in Uganda knows
Stop.
Kung Fu. Everyone in Uganda knows Kung Fu.
Seriously, it's hilarious, but also admirable for how dedicated they are with what little they have, and they just look like they're putting their all into it. But yeah, I saw the Child's Play remake, which I surprisingly liked a lot. Like, I was surprised how much I liked it. I didn't expect it to be that as good, but it was a pretty solid. I like that they took it in a really different direction from the originals, and I admire that. And I think Mark Hamill as Chucky was really good, and a lot of the kills were really solid, and the score by Ben McCreary is great. I mean, Bear McCreary is a really underappreciated composer, and I think he's done a lot of great work this year alone. Between this, Godzilla, and Happy Death Day to You, I think he's done some really good scores this year. I also saw Yesterday, which was
fine. It was fine.
Okay.
It was not good. It was pretty bad.
The John Lennon cameo.
Oh my god.
That shit was seamless.
Should we spoil that? I don't know.
That should look really good though. Like,
Actually,
whoever that was super convincing.
Oh, no, that was Robert Carlyle from Trainspotting. I looked it up.
Yeah, they were.
Found out that was him.
They were super convincing.
I know. I'll give them that. They were very convincing.
But yeah, Yesterday, I feel like it didn't do enough with its concept. It didn't really work as a romance, and it just felt like kind of Danny Boyle wasn't on his A game here. It felt like he wasn't really committed on this one. And normally, I absolutely love Danny Boyle. This just felt like he was kind of
half-assing it.
I couldn't agree more, Jeff.
Like, this felt like his heart wasn't entirely in it. Yeah. So yeah, that's it for my watches.
Okay, here I'll go next.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll go to you.
I don't really know in what order we could probably do the first time. Well, I mean, should we do it for the last 2 weeks or the last month? I'll go all my watches of the month because I don't really have that much because I've been slacking. I know I was planning on watching so many movies this summer and I've been slacking a bit. Okay, first up, Midsommar. We already got enough about it. Second, Far From Home. Also got enough about it. Next was Malik's Days of Heaven. My least favorite Malik film I've seen so far, but I still liked it. It meanders a lot, and there's a lot of really.
Lena Dunham recommended it.
Shut the fuck up! I will. Love it. Yeah, I did really enjoy it. It's obviously really beautiful. It has a lot of stuff I really enjoyed in it. It is very slow in a way that I don't really feel is earned. And like I said, it's probably my least favorite Malik film I've seen so far. But I still liked it a lot. Still liked it.
Next, I watched Peter Pan, which like I shocked I've never seen it before because I'm doing my little Disney animated film binge, and it's one of my favorite Disney movies probably ever. Next, I watched Missing Link, which I wasn't expecting to really like all that much. As much as I love Leica, their films usually sell more animation than script. I really liked it. It kind of definitely teeters on some animated movie cliches in ways that I don't really think doesn't have to stand out. But at the same time, it also feels really fresh with how a lot of stuff is executed, and it's also really genuinely well written and funny movie. Like, this is like a better comedy than a lot of actual comedies nowadays, which is honestly sad. And I also rewatched the movie Trolls. Guilty pleasure. Fuck off, people.
I agree with you. It's good.
I don't know. I mean, it's against my better judgment, and I know it makes it look like
No. I think it's legit good, and then
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to World Tour.
Oh, I'm hyped. I'll be there day one. Next, I watched the original Sleeping Beauty, which I also like quite a bit of Disney movies, and also something I thought about that I don't know if anyone else has thought about it. It kind of feels like the only Disney animated movie where the princess actually feels like the least important character. If you really think about it.
Yeah.
Because like really the most important characters in that movie are
Yeah.
everyone
Aurora
around
doesn't do
her.
shit.
Oh yeah, really, and she isn't that interesting of a character in the actual long run. The most important characters in the movie are actually the fairies that take care of her. Which before I saw this movie and I saw the stuff like those in like clips and stuff, I was expecting them to just be like regular like comedic sidekicks or something like that, like you always see in like they're like any kind of animated movie or something like that. I don't know. Like I expected them to be kind of like the rats in Cinderella. No, they actually
They're mice, you uncultured swine.
whatever. But then I saw Endgame for a third time, which I saw with the new re-release content. Honestly, so my thoughts on the content real quick because I already gave enough thoughts on Endgame. You know my thoughts on Endgame. It's still really good. So my thoughts on the new content. The Stanley cameo was awesome, very very touching, and knew what it was for tribute, and did a great job paying tribute to Stanley. The two new scenes, one of them was a Hulk the lead scene that literally did fucking nothing. Nothing happened in it, and it was just like,
Is this the scene with the unfinished CG?
oh yeah, which looks like a fucking Toys in Japan video. But the real thing, I would have liked watching that scene on the Blu-ray. Like, if I saw that scene like as a lead scene on the Blu-ray, I probably would have enjoyed watching the lead scenes. It's like, oh, so this is what they cut. But when you put it this hype, like to this amount of hype in order to like, oh, we have new exclusive content, at least with Endgame, it's like, yeah, it didn't really live up. But I mean, like, it was interesting watching the lead scene on the big screen, but you know, I don't know, it would have been way better and way more enjoyable to watch it on the Blu-ray because literally nothing happens in it other than the meme material it spawned. And the other deleted scene was the opening scene of Far From Home, which I had seen Far From Home before I saw the re-release of Endgame, so it pretty much didn't really do much. But it was nice seeing the re-release, but I wouldn't say the new content's really worth it. Next, I watched Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, which the key to my heart, literally so fucking amazing. Like y'all have probably heard enough hype about this movie with when you know what got trashed this Oscar season deservedly. Everyone was bringing up and comparing it to Walk Hard, and I mean I can't say like they are really the same movie, but they do have a lot of similarities, which is sad because one's a parody. Other than that, it's an insane. It actually takes more jabs to Walk the Line than it probably does a movie like You Know What. But fucking Walk Hard is so funny. It's so well written. It's so emotional in the way that works. John Sterling is so fucking good in it. Like there's a ton of comedic actors in it. It's so fucking good. I can't even stress it enough. I want to go on, but I don't want to be too long. It's so fucking good. Please watch it. I love it. Next, I watched the 420 Awards with George.
Yes.
Do I really need to say anything else?
Daddy Derek.
Next, I watched Saludos Amigos, which is one of Disney's earliest things. I'm not calling it a movie because it is not a movie.
It's one of their package films.
Oh yeah,
it's that period.
Yeah. When they made it during the war.
Yeah, during the war, and they couldn't really afford to do full original things.
Yeah. I mean,
so they had to improvise. That sort of thing.
I guess it's a nice little relic for its time period. If you want to say you watch old Disney movies, then watch it. But that being said, it's insanely fucking boring, and it's like some kind of like it's not like I don't want to learn about other cultures. But that being said, like the way everything's presented, other than some there's a really neat creative like drawing sequence. But other than that, the entire thing really just feels like something that a history teacher would put on for class. Like one of those like documentaries you'd be forced to watch in class and probably fall asleep during. It kind of felt like a 40-minute version of that. And just with like Disney characters try and like shoehorn them in order to try and give it more than that.
Pretty sure Three Caballeros is way better.
Oh yeah, I'm hoping.
There's more to go back to with that one.
Yeah, I'll watch that one soon probably. I'll give it this. It did spawn a really famous Donald Duck meme. So there's that. That came from this. And also I will say this: Donald Duck and that pair do make a great ship. I will say that. And yeah, like I said, it does have some nice sequences, but it's not really worth it at all. It's pretty fucking boring. Next, I'd watch a really great film, Ghost Dog, which was fucking awesome. Wait, you've seen Ghost Dog, right, Mark? Have you seen it?
The Jarmusch?
Yes.
No, I've been meaning to.
Dude, it's fucking great. And one thing, like it's very actiony, kinda. I mean, it's not like fun, hardcore, like insanely action scenes, but definitely has actiony parts to it. But it feels a lot like a regular like Jarmusch drama mixed in. And it's kind of like if Jarmusch tried to make a remake of Leon the Professional, but it does have a lot of similarities to that movie, and also has a lot of similarities to Taxi Driver, because Forrest Whitaker's character is kind of an incel, which George, I know you'll like that aspect of it, because George is an incel himself.
Well, so are you, Brian.
Fuck you. Okay, you're not wrong. So like Forrest Whitaker's so good in it. There's a lot of really great things about it. Yeah, Ghost Dog, check it out. And a first time watch I just made today when I just went out to see it. I kind of want to go on for a minute about. Okay, I don't want to go on for too long, but I do kind of want to explain a little about this movie because I probably won't get a chance to on the podcast again. The Art of Self-Defense, which is one of my top 5 of the year so far.
That good, huh?
This movie is really, really fucking great. It's kind of like Sorry to Bother You if it was directed by Yorgos Lanthimos.
Oh,
interesting.
In a way, it's not like as absurdist as Sorry to Bother You, but it does have a lot of similarities in terms. Okay, I don't want to spoil it, but if you compare the plot of Sorry to Bother You to the plot of this movie, you'll find a little bit similar. Not to say this movie's a ripoff of Sorry to Bother You, but you can definitely make comparisons.
I mean, I don't see how it could be.
Yeah, well, you'll see what I mean when you watch it. But it's less fantastical and it's more realistic and more dark. Like this movie is a fucking dark comedy in a way that really works, and it has a lot of really great little messages and satires on toxic masculinity. Jesse Eisenberg's really great in it. This is a part that he was made for, like the kind of like wormy guy in society who's trying to get tougher. Like this is like a role that's made for him. And now that Michael Cera's not around roles like this anymore, might as well get Jesse Eisenberg now. And he's really proved himself because Jesse Eisenberg can be an actor if you give him the right role, you can really make him great. And he's great in this movie. Logan Poots is great in this movie. The guy who plays the sensei, I cannot pronounce his name, Alessandro Nivola. He's really fucking great. The directing's really great. There's a lot of Lanthimosian directing. It's really, really fucking good. And I highly recommend you check it out. And once you guys, anyone who's listening to this, watch it, please let me know what you think if you can. Yes.
Okay. Cool.
I'm weird.
I'm hoping that I'll get to see it sometime soon, but it's not expanding to any of my theaters.
Because you live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I even got that. I even got that movie. I just didn't want to watch it.
Why?
Yeah, Mark is a pleb.
Mark's an
I'm
incel.
a pleb. Damn. I'm an incel. All right. Anyways, my first time watches.
Go ahead, Mark, and then I'll go.
Okay, after I watched The Dead Don't Die, I rabbited Shorts, the Robert Rodriguez film with Dylan, and it might be the greatest movie of all time.
Might be.
Saying.
Might be.
It might be, yeah. Like, it's so fucking amazing. Like, holy shit. There is a scene where James Spader, he's bald, and they're holding hands to, like, destroy the wishing rock. And it's just, like, cutting between all the kids, like, and, like, the power is so intense, and it's, like, it's almost, like, Infinity War-esque. But then you just get this cut to, like, James Spader, and he's just, like, shaking his head rapidly, and he's like, and it's the funniest fucking thing. It's one of the greatest movies of all time. Shorts is awful. Anyways, After that, I watched this movie called Hackers, and I can't even fucking remember it. I can't even remember it. After that, I watched this movie called Craig's Wife, 1936, and it's genuinely fantastic. It's one of my favorite movies, actually. It's basically this movie about this girl who married for stability instead of love or any other sort, and it's just her life crumbling around her as the world that she created kind of realizes that she has no real care for anything other or anyone other than herself, and it's really interesting. It's one of the early female directed films. It's mostly a female led cast, actually. The only real male lead is the husband, and he is great. The whole performance, all the performances are fantastic. The writing's great. It's all in one location, pretty much. It's really interesting, and I would definitely recommend it. I watched Plague Dogs. Yeah, it's Craig's Wife. I also watched Plague Dogs, which is same director, Martin Rosen of Watership Down. It was alright. It wasn't as good as Watership Down, but it was interesting. It has the dreaded shotgun to the face sequence where a dog accidentally kills somebody, but you know, it's nothing as disturbing as a Watership Down. Then I did the Spider-Man trilogy. I love the Spider-Man trilogy. It's so good. Would recommend with all of my heart. Then Unfriended Dark Web was actually great. It was actually good, and I'm not lying. I'm being serious.
If you're watching it as a comedy, it's like the best movie of all time.
No, it's not. It's a good movie. It's actually good. And this is from somebody who doesn't have. I'm still waiting on my laptop. It's coming in. Don't worry. Videos will be coming soon. But as somebody who doesn't have a laptop and just how it presents itself in its world, it works pretty well. It's not awful. It's really good. Anyways, after that, I binge watched Too Old to Die Young, which I really loved. It was really good.
Wait,
but then it was also really fucking
the
boring.
Show. Wait,
it's the reference show.
Mark, what are your thoughts on like the first 4 episodes? I hear the first 4 episodes like don't have like anything to them.
The first 4 episodes are there. It depends really what you want, because in my opinion, skip the second episode completely. The second episode is actual ass. The first episode's really good. The third, fourth, just for an example of how the show is, the first line of dialogue in the whole fucking series is a guy saying, women are the real evil. It's it's like incel core cinema, and it's like incel core television. Because like the whole show is basically Miles Teller's descent into like the shady fucking toxic masculinity and all that shit, and it's really interesting. I actually really love it, and the cinematography is great.
Nicholas Weinref pretty much just the king of incel culture at this point. So I mean,
yeah.
honestly, and I mean,
he's made some
I
good
will
movies.
watch. I do want to watch the whole show to say I've seen the whole thing. So I mean, like, I don't know.
I've seen the first 2 episodes. The second one is just dreadful. It's painful. Like
the second episode sucks.
The first one's really slow, but I was invested in it.
It has a build up to it.
I haven't watched the show since that second episode, and that's kind of speaking some volumes there.
Yeah, again, the first episode, it's slow, but it builds up to something. You definitely feel like there is something happening in every scene. And if it appears like something isn't happening, something happens that it's like, oh, I guess that was actually important. Then after I watched Too Old to Die Young, I watched Straw Dogs. Don't want to talk about it because it was really bad. I watched The Doors biopic by Oliver Stone. I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed that. But the thing is, the direction and the overall story presentation, it was so repetitive that it just kind of really hammered the film down into one kind of note, which really deteriorated it as a whole. It's a really good trip movie. It's like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, except with rock stars. And Val Kilmer is fucking phenomenal.
Would you say it's like different from like the typical musical biopic?
Yes, in its structure, because again, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, it's mostly just a bunch of trips and a bunch of really like fantastic like concert sequences. There's one where like the whole crowd, it's like this whole packed fucking auditorium, and the stage is just collapsing because there's people like jumping on there. There's like cops everywhere. It's fucking insane. It's one of the greatest things I think I've ever seen. But then it also is like, it's just a lot of shit. It's a weird way to describe it. It's a lot of shit, but it's really good. After The Doors, I watched Welcome to Marwen, which was genuinely god awful.
Okay, so like I actually watched like
like a good chunk of that movie. Okay, I actually watched the whole thing of it with a friend on a rabbit stream, but I was only paying attention to like half of it, so that's why I didn't log it. I only paid attention like fucking like at least like the first half of it, and then after that I just just distract myself because I just didn't care.
It's so fucking boring.
I mean,
It's so
offense,
bland. It's so dull.
No offense, Ben, but it's fucking garbage. As much as I love memeing it with you, Ben, if you're listening to this, which you probably aren't, yeah, I will log it at some point, bro. But it's fucking awful. I'll say that it's fucking trash. What was Robert Zemeckis even going for? This just feels so fucking odd.
I don't even know.
That was really. It was a big misfire. It was really.
Like, at least with his mocap movies, I at least know what he was going for. With Buck and Mar, like, how is this by the same director as Back to the Future, Roger Rabbit, all these fucking great movies?
He lost his touch.
Oh
He
yeah,
definitely lost his touch.
Lost his touch at this point.
Like,
I mean, how was Allied? Because that's like the last movie he directed.
I didn't see it.
Oh yeah. After that, I watched the Child's Play remake or reboot or whatever the fuck it is. It was bad.
I'm assuming you're right because it looks horrible.
It was really bad. That was me though. Jeff, you liked it. You explained why.
I'm glad you liked it, Jeff.
I just have to say that it felt very lazy, and I would have watched Krampus instead. Krampus is great.
Krampus is great.
Yeah, Krampus is great.
Krampus is dumb, but it's fun as hell.
It's not even stupid. It's clever as hell too.
Like, I mean,
there's some really neat aspects to it.
What about a sequel to Trick or Treat?
Oh, fucking Trick or Treat actually slaps.
Which, of course, Brian, you know.
Shut the fuck up.
Dr. Maplewood. Dr. Maplewood.
Wait, I thought you were talking about who produced it. Okay, Mark, go on.
No, I'm not going to talk about Brandon.
Okay, Mark, go on.
Okay, after that, I watched The Devil Wears Prada. Yeah, that was really good, actually. That was a really good movie. And I was surprised by that. It's really well written. And I think that's the biggest surprise out of all of it. Because The Devil Wears Prada was like the big little Hollywood movie. It was a comedy and from the 2000s. And a lot of those suck. But this one was actually really well developed. There was some interesting progression with the characters. Even if it was a bit cliche, it all felt very believable and real for some reason. And I was genuinely shocked that I was enjoying it. And I laughed my ass off a couple of times. It was really good. Meryl Streep's actually great. So there's, what's her face? Anne Hathaway.
Not as great as she is in Big Little Lies.
Anyway.
Isn't Emily Blunt in that movie?
Yeah, and Stanley Tucci. Which Stanley Tucci is actually married to Emily Blunt's sister. So I mean, I guess Stanley Tucci is the sister fister.
God damn it, Brian. I hate you.
I hate you too.
After The Devil Wears Prada, 7 out of 10. I saw The Man Who Fell to Earth, which was good when it was good. It felt very repetitive and very tedious. But David Bowie definitely saved the film for me. He was fantastic throughout the whole thing.
Oh yeah, David Bowie.
He really makes the whole film believable. There's some very abstract, oddball shit that happens throughout the film, but his performance really grounds it, and it makes you believe everything that happens. And it's really what sells the film itself. 6 out of 10.
You also watched
I saw The Wicker Man. Oh yeah, Murder My Sweet. It was good from what I remember. It was pretty typical, but the direction was genuinely interesting. Like there was some, it was really well set up with how like shot composition and everything. It was pretty impressive. That was a 7 out of 10. Wicker Man was fantastic. Actually, that was Midsommar, except that Midsommar was good. Like there's an
which Wicker Man?
The original. The original Wicker Man. It's fantastic.
Yeah, obviously not the Nicolas Cage one.
There's some disturbing aspects to it, which is kind of shocking, and it works still because in the context of the film, there's like a scene where there's just a little campground, and it's just underage children, like teenage girls, just running nude, like on psychedelics, and it's like unnerving. Like obviously they're like of age actors, but in the story they look young, and it's like, oh god. And then you just see like the mayor just like, he's like, yes, this is normal. We enjoy this. They're jumping around the fire. And then you have the straight man the whole movie, and he's just like, but they're gonna burn. And it's great. It's an 8 out of 10. I loved it. After that, I rewatched Hereditary. I did a review on that. I dropped my rating to a 4 out of 10. I saw Bugsy Malone, which was okay. It It was neat. It was like it's a mafia film, but with kids. And instead of guns, it's like whipped cream cannons.
Huh.
And,
And it's a musical.
Yeah, it's a musical, and it's weird because like the voices are adults, but they're still kids. It's a bit
Fuck,
jarring.
it sounds interesting, huh?
It is interesting. It's
I've been meaning to
it's
watch
really
that for a
fun.
while.
It's fun, but it's like it's nothing more than what it is. Then I watched I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, which was basically like this little.
It sounds
It's
awesome.
The best
I
title
Wanna
ever.
Eat-
The actual
It
title.
does, yeah, but it's like a cancer. It's like a little mini series, and it's about this girl who has cancer and how she interacts with this one kid, and she dies by the end of it. Spoilers.
Okay, I just want to
It's-
say, I mean, as much like as sad as I'm assuming this. Well, it says, isn't it? Yeah, you said it's a mini series, but isn't it a movie? Because it says it's a movie on Letterboxd.
Yeah, it's a miniseries, but it's a movie on
Like,
Letterboxd.
imagine seeing this movie in theater and saying, yeah, one for I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, and try not to get a dirty look from the ticket manager.
I mean, in Japan, it's completely just normal. So, like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like in Japan, they'll let anything get by in their anime. Like, there's like, have you seen the hentai that comes from there? I mean, like, damn.
Ooh.
Have you, Brian?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna answer. I'm not gonna answer that question.
Okay. It was okay. It wasn't anything new or innovative. It was just blah. It was a 5 out of 10. I watched Glory, another 5 out of 10.
That was fine.
It's fine. It's
Matthew
not
Broderick is
anything.
horribly miscast, though.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I watched
That
this
was a
movie
good
called
idea to cast him in
T-Man.
a role like that. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I watched T-Man, which was like it was kind of interesting, but then like the whole like execution of it fucking was awful. Like imagine this really intricate story about these people going undercover and doing the mob, but like trying to bust the mob. But all the interesting parts are just told via narration. No like actual like you don't see it. It's just a very stale narrator like, well, at this time at there they did this and this is what this happened, and then it's like 5 scenes after the narrator explains it. It's fucking lazy and I didn't like it. Then I watched Midsommar. I already said my stuff on that. I watched Network, and that was fucking phenomenal. Network is fantastic. All of the performances are beautiful. It's a movie that really sticks even now because it's like this big old kind of takedown of television and the overall simplicity of it all and just how it abuses a system and abuses people. And it's really interesting. And I really loved it. After that, I think, oh no, Network's a 9 out of 10. I watched Soldier, which is a movie directed by Paul W.S. Anderson starring Kurt Russell. And it's the funniest fucking thing ever. Kurt Russell doesn't say a word for the first hour of the movie because he's just a soldier who kills people. And it's great. It's a good little schlock movie. It's a 5 out of 10 with a big old heart for me. Then I watched The Wicker Man with
Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage, yes. 3 out of 10. That shit's hilarious. I watched Lost Highway after that. The David Lynch film. Great. Really good. 8 out of 10. Glass Castle was awful. Top Secret was actually hilarious. I don't think I laughed my ass off at just a simple gag that much in a long ass time because like for no reason. Like it's just it mixes absurd and surrealism so well. There's this one part in particular where like he's knocking this dude off of a watchtower and it's just a cut and you just see the guy fall and then he just hits the ground and it just shatters. He shatters in the glass and it makes no fucking sense. But it's hilarious. And then there's a part where, like, you know, the old chick in the book where it's like you shoot something from perspective and there's like it's like the snow, like they have the rotary phone and it looks bigger because it's up and close, right? And it pulls back and the guy picks up the phone, but the phone's just fucking huge. And so he's like carrying it with 2 hands. It's fucking hilarious. Y'all need to watch it. It's called Top
I watched
Secret,
part of that
1984.
movie. I think I watched parts of it a while ago on like a Rabbit stream, and I want to go back to it.
It's really good. 8 out of 10. I watched In the Mouth of Madness, which is John Carpenter's 1994 film starring Sam Neill. It's really, really great. It's this really interesting concept. It's nothing big. It's not like some big statement. It's just really well executed concept done by a director who understands it. There's some great almost David Lynch-esque like horror scenes. One of the big buildups of the film is a guy driving down a road, like getting to his location, and there's a point where the street, like the yellow lines, they just disappear, and it's just him driving in the dark, and he has no idea where he's going. and then out of nowhere there's just like a bus boy, or no, there's a paper boy who just like he's just has demonic painting on. It's weird, and I really loved it. It's like, imagine if Stephen King made like Luke Skywalker-esque Find Me map, and it's mixed with Under the Silver Lake, mixed with a bunch of other like horror movies. It's really interesting. It's probably one of my favorite Carpenter. It's up there with The Thing, honestly. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. I watched Crawl. Like thinking back to it, I don't like it as much as I like originally did, because when I first watched it, I was like, "Oh, this is fucking hilarious!" Like the little Chinese girl getting her pussy eaten out by an alligator, literally. It's
Wait, what?
fucking
What the fuck?
That scene.
Oh my
That
god!
sounds amazing. Oh my god.
I'm
Why
having
is this a
flash-
5 out of 5?
I'm having,
Yeah.
I'm starting to have flashbacks to the Nutcracker in the Four Realms now.
Oh god damn
Oh
it.
God.
Wait, Mark, did you call it crank first?
No, I said Crawl.
No, I heard you say
fucking-
crank.
No, I said, you know what? Okay, Crawl.
Sorry.
Crawl is. It was there's some great scenes, but I feel like a lot of it just feels like Sam Raimi puppeteering the whole thing, and then a no talent director just having to do like what Sam Raimi gave him pointers at, because it feels like a self-serious film. It's very self-serious, but the Sam Raimi aspects are really what save it from being just bad. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint. After that, I watched a movie. Crawl 5 out of 10. I watched a movie called Moonrise, which was great. It's this movie from the 40s, and it's this noir kind of thriller about this guy who is bullied his whole life, and then he ends up killing his bully, and it's just this downward spiral, and him in this like relationship where he's super abusive, and it's a really great character study with a fantastic like lead performance. It's really good. After that, I watched Megamind. Really good movie.
Yes.
It's an intricate character piece about the societal pressures of forcing one to be what they aren't, and it's a movie that's actually good. It's great that you have Markiplier starring as an animated character.
And Jack's Films was a really, really great lead for that movie.
You know, it's pretty good. After Megamind, I watched the Lion King remake.
No. I'm
The
scared.
Lion King remake.
You're about to make me want to kill myself. I
I'm
know.
gonna give it a half star without even seeing it.
I liked it. I like the Lion King. Anyways, we'll leave it at that. It's a 5 out of 10. We'll leave it at that. Anyways, I watched Monster Squad. Holy fuck, I forgot this movie existed, and I'm so glad me and this guy named Jay watched it. It is quite literally the greatest movie of all time. Have y'all heard of Monster Squad?
I have.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it though.
Have y'all watched it?
Not yet.
No.
I will.
There is a scene where a little girl befriends Frankenstein, and all of her like there's this whole group, they're the Monster Squad, and it's all guys and this one little girl, and they're all just like, like they go up to Frankenstein and they all run away from it, and then the little girl's like, "Stop being chicken shits, you little turds! He's friendly. He's on our side." And I forgot everything about that fucking. There are some hilarious fucking moments in the movie. There's this ritual that has to have a virgin to work, and like the virgin, they have this girl or one of the Monster Squad's like sisters. They have her read the book, and then at the end they're just like, "Why didn't it work?" And then she's like, and they're like, "Are you a virgin?" And she was just like, "I thought the tip didn't count." And I'm like, holy shit, this is a movie from the 80s, and this is a kid's movie. I fucking love it. It's one of the greatest fucking movies of all time. It's so bad, it's amazing. 10 out of 10. Monster Squad is a 10 out of 10. Country Strong, they have a good song from it. It's like A Star is Born. It's basically A Star is Born, except like country people with a good song. I watched Indie Game the movie, which was fantastic, actually. I love it. Have you all seen it?
Not yet.
It's basically following the production of Super Meat Boy and Fez, two of my favorite games, actually. And so I was just destined to love it from the start. And holy fuck, it's super interesting. It's super introspective, and it's fun. It's pure fun. And it's got great music, genuinely cool animation, because what they do is, in Super Meat Boy, the artist or the guy who draws most of like the games, they basically take like pictures that he drew from his childhood and they animate them for the film. It has this really like polished feel to it, and it's a super interesting documentary. I really loved it. 9 out of 10. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, saving that, and I watched finally, my favorite film of the year, The Farewell, tonight, actually, a couple minutes.
I can't wait.
For
I'm
this
hyped.
movie.
I'm hyped to see it.
Insane.
A couple, like an hour before we started the podcast, I watched The Farewell, and holy fuck, it was amazing. I absolutely loved everything about it. Oh my god, it's such an intimate story. And I understand that not everybody's going to give it a 5 out of 5. I think people will be distracted by, like, again, it's a very much, you can tell it's a first time director, because there's some like parts where it's like, oh, I guess trying to find its style, whatever. For me, it didn't bother me, because I felt such a personal connection to the characters and to the story itself, because in case you didn't know, the story of The Farewell is basically this family, and their grandmother, their beloved grandmother, is just diagnosed with cancer. And they don't tell her because there's a language barrier between English and Chinese, and she only knows how to speak Chinese, and they don't tell her that she has cancer. And so the whole family, they get together to see her one last time before anything happens. And so it's really funny, and it's very charming, and it's very heartbreaking. And for me, I just felt a really like deep connection to it, because that's happened in my family. It happened with my grandma, actually. And it was just crazy hearing the idea of it was like very personal to me. And I was like, I want to watch this movie immediately. And then I watched it, and I don't know, I loved it. I cried like a complete bitch at the very end of the movie. There was just nothing but tears rolling down my face. It was phenomenal. I loved it. 10 out of 10.
I cannot wait to see it.
That's all the films I watched in the past 2 months.
I am
Honestly-
hoping it expands here, because goddamn, I was hoping Last Black Man from San Francisco would get to my area. Never did. So The Farewell, please come to my area. Please, I want to see you.
Honestly, fuck you, A24.
Yeah,
Honestly.
fuck A24 for real. Oh my god, they are horrible distributors. Horrible.
They make
Absolutely
great
atrocious.
movies, but goddamn, they suck as a company.
They are horrible at distributing their films. Horrible.
They are
They're
horrible at marketing their
atrocious.
films.
And have you guys seen the fucking Blu-ray releases for fucking Under the Silver Lake and Climax in the US? Oh my god, that
They're
shit's like
non-existent.
they're flat out bootlegs. They're literally bootlegs.
Pretty much, honestly.
Like, maybe you not as hardcore Blu-ray people probably won't care about this, but seriously, look at it. They're asking like you can only get them off like Amazon, and they're like $24. So I mean, like, fuck, you're paying $24 for essentially a bootleg.
Yeah. Oh wait, before I want to finish it, I just want to say The Farewell is very good. It's honestly a film that I could recommend to anybody, because it's not challenging. It doesn't try to be challenging. It's just a film that wants to capture life and people at their like most personal and vulnerable like moments, and it does it so well. And it's very accessible, and it's short, it's sweet, it's bittersweet. It's gonna make you cry. If you don't cry, maybe you just had tougher skin than me, but oh my god, it's so good.
You have scored
It is phenomenal. There is a one take at the very end of the film, which is like peak cinema. And I say peak cinema because it's a shot that's able to like pull so much emotion out of the audience because of just all this buildup. And it's so fucking, I don't know, it's just to me, because I never got, again, like that's just a whole nother thing in the film. That's a whole like character moment, is like this fear of not being able to say goodbye to somebody that you love. And like, I never got that. And seeing that actually play out on a film it was so cathartic that I don't know, I connected to it so much, and I connected to the characters a lot. It was just, phenomenal. It was a great film. Yeah, 10 out of 10.
I cannot wait. I'm hoping it comes to my area, please.
Same
I
here.
just want this. A24, let me have this, or else, fuck. Oh man, I won't be able to.
Fuck A24. They suck as a company. They're
I
not
will
as bad.
buy tons.
They're
of
not as bad as
Disney
Disney,
hats or
but
something
still,
fire.
they're bad.
Wait, as what?
I said they're not as bad as Disney, but they're still bad.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, fuck.
All right. I think it's time to go with my first time watches.
Go ahead.
All right. So I am not gonna go crazy with my first time watches. I'm not gonna list every single one. I'm just gonna list a few that I think are notable. I just wanna like some that I would recommend. Obviously, the best one is Aunt Fanny's Tour of Booty. the Robots short film. I actually haven't even seen it. I just logged in on Letterboxd for the meeting. But in all seriousness, let's see. I'm gonna go down the line here. One of the first time watches I'm gonna recommend is a film called The Piano Teacher by Mikhail Haneke, the director of More, Funny Games, and a bunch of other great movies that I haven't seen. But the Piano Teacher is awesome. It's great. You should watch it. Faces by John Cassavetes. It is fantastic. John Cassavetes seems to be a very underrated director between this and A Woman Under the Influence. So you should definitely watch it.
Cassavetes is great. You should watch Killing of a Chinese Bookie, I think.
All right, I'm getting ready. I'm gonna watch it soon.
It's great.
All right, so obviously there's a mini series called Big Little Lies, or I guess season 1 Big Little Lies. Big Little Lies is obviously great. Okay, I'm gonna recommend this because I watched it while I was high. Ma. Honestly, I don't know if this experience would be as enjoyable if I were sober. So, yeah.
Probably not.
The Young Girls of Rochefort, which is a musical by Jacques Demy, and it's
one of my favorite films.
Phenomenal. It is
So
I need
lovely.
to see it because I'm trying.
phenomenal. Like, why haven't more people seen this movie? Honestly,
I want to.
it's so good. And even though
Like,
all the songs
genuinely.
even though all the songs are in French, you just kind of want to sing along to them. Because they're so catchy. Then
Well, I
there's-
mean, I probably know the best French of everyone on this podcast. So I mean, like, I don't know, maybe.
yeah. So then there's Down by Law, which is the only
Yes.
Jim Jarmusch film to date that I can actually say that I kind of love. So yeah. And then this next film, Mark is really going to like me talking about Trouble Every Day by Claire Denis.
Yeah. Great. Phenomenal
It is
film.
one of the most. It's honestly one of the most unsettling films you'll ever watch.
Yeah,
I
it's
definitely
super
wanna watch
fucked up.
it. And
Yeah.
wait, okay. Something I want to ask about Trouble Every Day. Okay,
Yeah.
so I found out that Vincent Gallo is the lead. Is the movie entirely in French, or is it like parts in
It's
English?
partly in English.
It's part. Yeah, it's half and half.
Okay, because I was kind of surprised because I remember when High Life came out, they said like it was Claire Denis' English language debut.
Yeah, no, it's not.
It's not like her English language debut. It's just like it's her full English language debut.
Yeah, her full English language debut. But
I see.
it's technicalities, I guess.
Yeah, but
Then there's
can Vincent Gallo go? I have a genuine question. Can Vincent Gallo go one movie without showing his fucking dick?
I mean, he didn't show it in Buffalo '66 on a release.
I guess I have
You
to
could
watch
see
it.
Mm,
Buffalo '66 is so fucking good.
Let's see.
Mark, can you see it?
Let's see. There's the 420 Awards, obviously a masterpiece. Greatest
Oh yeah.
greatest film ever made. Incredibles 2 won Best Stoner Movie. Okay, in all seriousness though, there is another film I really want to recommend called Louder Than Bombs, which stars Gabriel Byrne, Jesse Eisenberg, Isabelle Huppert, and the school shooter kid from 13 Reasons Why, because I don't know his name, but he's actually great in this movie. Like, he actually does a good job performing this character. And it's a very well shot, well written film.
The kid has been like,
And it's actually like emotionally impactful. Like, you like empathize with these characters in such a way, and it's actually like so interesting. And yeah, and also there's an actress in this film who's in like maybe 3 scenes in the entire film, but she impressed me so much that I kind of want to check out this popular show that she's been on. The actress's name is Rachel Brosnahan or whatever her name is. She's on.
yeah.
Marvelous
Oh
Mrs.
my gosh,
Maisel.
yeah, she's the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. That is such a good show.
She makes me.
A while back, I finished season 1 with my mom, and it's such a good show.
This makes me want to check it out. Honestly,
It's hilarious.
She was also on House of Cards. So
Oh, nice. Wait. Also,
fucking Fleabag.
we'll take that what you
I need to
will.
see that.
Take
I need to
that
see
what
that.
you will.
I need to see that. I need to see that show too. Oh, sorry for talking over George. Okay.
Oh, no.
Real quick,
Just take the House of Cards thing with how you will, because
Then we don't need to mention his name. Also, I find it interesting how the Kid from 13 Reasons Why was in like nothing but like indies before. Well, okay, not indies, but like smaller music.
Well, the Asian kid in that show, who was also in a shitty Lifetime movie called Perfect High, which is about a drug addict, and he's in Shazam.
Wait, what the? Oh wait, shit, that's right. But yeah, the kid that you were talking about was also in Wiener Dog, the Todd Saunders movies. He was in Cam.
Greta Gerwig.
He was in Olive Kitteridge. He was in the movie with Daniel Radcliffe, Imperium. So he's done like smaller movies, and I wish he stuck to those because clearly he didn't really go anywhere with doing 30 Reasons Why.
Yeah, and then I guess also Shazam. And
Yes.
I'm only mentioning this because in the entire DC EU, it's the only good film in that universe.
Great. Shazam
Honestly,
is so fucking good.
it's just a fun, enjoyable film, and Zachary Levi is awesome. Like, holy shit, this guy does such a good job, like embodying the personality of a 14-year-old boy, even though he's like 30-something years old. He does such a good job, honestly. Like, why can't DC make more movies like this?
I know. Just like fucking let horror directors incorporate horror elements in their campy superhero movies and just make it fun and emotional and good.
Well, those are all the first time watches I really have to bring up. There's there's a few others, some of which we talked about, some of which I don't really have that much to say about. Well, I guess I can also give a shout out to Atop the Fourth Wall of the movie, because our friend Katie made me watch it, and I want to say fuck you. So yeah.
Guys, I highly recommend all three of you check out Walk Hard and Ghost Dog and The Art of Self-Defense.
I will.
I will. I recommend you all check out Louder Than Bombs.
Wait, Mark, haven't you seen Walk Hard?
Walk Hard. Are you talking about the fucking John C. Reilly?
Yes. Have you
What
seen
about
it?
that movie? Yes.
I was asking you. Okay, what are your thoughts on it?
It's good.
Okay.
It's actually really good.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
It is.
But yeah, I guess that's it for this episode of the Ticket Booth Podcast.
Thank you.
All right.
Dun.
Thank you all. Thank you all for
incels,
listening.
Thank you all.
and wasting
And
your time with us. We very much appreciate you. Out of everything you could be doing, spend your time with us. It's very, very nice of you to want to give us support. Go hit us up on all of our social medias. And
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and see you guys next time.
Yep.
Donate
See y'all
to
next time.
donate to my Patreon.
He doesn't
Donate.
have one.
Donate
don't.
to my Kickstarter.
God damn it. What's the Kickstarter?
Put it back
To get me-
to your lips.
To fund the wait, okay. My Kickstarter is to fund the Tick Booth podcast movie.
Kickstarter is to fund my fucking laptop.
Oh.